3, 2, 1.
Check it out.
Three, two, one.
Check it out.
Three, two, one.
Check it out.
Welcome in, everybody, back to the State of Chess, the state of Chess.com. It's been a minute. It's been 10 months, I think, to be exact, since we were here. A lot's been happening in the chess community. I think that's maybe an understatement. Reminder for anybody who might be tuning into their first ever State of Chess. This is a show that is ultimately about connecting with you, the community, the fan. This is not a show where we're going to be analyzing chess games, playing blitz games myself, or watching people much better than myself play blitz games like we did yesterday in the Speed Chess Championship. Today is a day where we talk about the goings-ons within the Chess.com company, the Chess.com team, but also the broader chess community, and break down and give you our thoughts on all kinds of interesting, in some cases sensitive, and definitely near and dear topics to the heart of the fans. So I've got different chats open here, full screen Twitch, full screen YouTube. We'll be watching you throughout the day as we can. What's up, Lisa? Hey, in Twitch. What's up, Fun Master Mike? Ultimately, this is more screen time for Danny Rensch. I guess so. I guess that is true. When you get relegated because you have so many amazing commentators on the team and a lot's happening, you're busy fielding other things like cheating controversies and I don't know, product updates. I don't get to do as many shows. Mis amigos, for sure. Those are the shows I want to do. So I guess if we're blaming this as selfish screen time for Danny, no, that's actually not the case. This is actually this is a show that's come a long way, to be honest. This is a show that really started out as just something that we kind of did on a whim. I think at the time we were releasing some big products and it made sense to talk about those products, but it became a show that really was about transparency. It's about having tough discussions, big discussions, in the most transparent, honest way, reminding everybody in the community that we're all in this together. Everybody is here watching this show because you play chess, and at some point you fell in love with chess and therefore wanted to get better at chess, and then probably fell in love, or at least learned to appreciate those who might play chess better than you, which means you started watching shows, enjoying content. And in some cases, I think the life cycle, to use a business term for people, kind of went the other way, right? Maybe they got into chess because of shows, because of the content or the many different streamers out there. And then that love that they had for the community and just kind of the weirdness of the chess community. How many controversies can the chess community be going through at once, right? Led them to fall in love and then ultimately maybe make chess a daily part of their life again. So all kinds of things. But yeah, we're gonna dive into some stuff here today. I'm gonna switch over to YouTube chat just so, because I said that, and I said that we had YouTube chat going, so people don't know that I'm not full of it. And we always get blamed for neglecting YouTube chat. I'm gonna start off the show with a thank you to YouTube chat, saying that you've come a long way. The reality is that, in my opinion, as live streaming on YouTube became more of a regular part, at least in terms of what we were doing, YouTube chat was just not a great place. It was a place for all the hate and all whatever it was. It just, not to say that people don't have a right to express their opinions, but there's a time and a place, and there's a time to focus on the chess versus steering the conversation consistently toward, like, politics, religion, race, like just misogyny, just crazy stuff. And like, honestly, YouTube chat, the chess community that is maybe a little bit more part of it, I want to say thank you, because the truth is, YouTube chat is not the cesspool it once was. Can I say that? I'm going to say that a lot today. I'm going to say all the honest things today. I really enjoy YouTube chat and Twitch chat together. So Twitch, not neglecting you. You stay right there. But I just want to be honest. I'm so appreciative of the chess community and how we've been able to grow what I think is sort of a safe, inclusive, awesome environment on every one of the external verticals, as we use in the business term, which is just a word that says it's not chess.com and a place where we put stuff up online and people consume our content. So, all right, we're going to be getting into all kinds of stuff. We've got so many questions from the community. If you didn't know it, you've had a chance to give questions throughout the week, throughout maybe the last couple of weeks when we first announced it. We collect questions from Reddit, from Discord, from Twitter. We're going to obviously collect some questions today from chat, and we're gonna dive into it. Yeah, business terms 101. Not really. All right, let's talk about what's been going on at Chess.com over the last few months, and maybe a quick top of the show too, as we do it before. We're going to be joined by Casa Corley, International Master Casa Corley, who's our Director of Professional Relations. We're going to talk about fair play. We're going to talk about stuff we're doing, give you some updates that you don't know are coming in regards to not just policy changes, but some of the stuff we've been investing in behind the scenes and some of the stuff we're doing. That's going to be a big segment, obviously. We're going to be joined by Eric, the CEO of Chess.com, and Rafal, one of our amazing engineers, to talk about some of the things that happened over the last few months and face the music, if you will, in terms of maybe some of the things that could have been better, some of the ways we're tackling latency, some of the ways we're tackling the global chess growth from servers all over the place, and what we're doing to support everyone who's watching this show have a great experience when they play games, not just our top events and top players, which we all care about for all the reasons we should, but every one of you. So it's gonna be an interesting one, and we're gonna dive into that. And then at some point, we're going to be joined by our new VP of content. He came over from Snapchat a few months ago. He's been helping drive some of the content with the team that's been here doing an amazing job forever. But some of the newer properties you see that we're doing, not just lie detector chess and other things, we're really excited about some of the big media initiatives that we've launched and where we're hoping to grow the community together. So really appreciate everyone for being here. I guess I just gave a little bit of a rundown, a show there. Thank you for subscribing. Chess on Earth. Can we have peace on Earth? Chess on Earth is a good start, right? Chess makes the world a smarter place, and smart people make the world a better place. So there you go. How's that? How's that for a segue? Let's jump in just a second here to what's been happening from a community perspective over the last few months. So we've got the articles for each one of these linked up. Our incredible team, shout out to AK, you're out there probably already sharing a link to this in chat as I speak, letting people know where they can read about some of the app updates and some of the things that we've been doing for the events dashboard. This is a big topic over the last year plus. There's been a lot going on in the chess world. Obviously, everyone knows that the acquisition of the Play Magnus group of companies and Chess.24, where a lot of people preferred watching live events for a very long time, pushed us to innovate and to invest and improve all the things that we always wanted to, and it really kind of like accelerated that timeline as we learned as our companies came together, and everybody agreed on both sides that the best infrastructure, the best technology to kind of build on long term was the backbone that we were building at Chess.com. It made sense for us to work together and unify toward a great app experience in one spot. And we're pretty happy with where it's come. I mean, you've got a lot of features you see on the right, things that you enjoy when watching the shows in terms of real-time feedback, what the computer thinks, brilliancy glyphs, which we're going to get into today. There was a question from the community. And we're trying to bring all the best of both worlds to make sure that we don't add those fancy bells and whistles and miss the core great experience you want when you're watching events. I'm assuming people in this show are people who really care about watching shows, because for some reason you decided it was part of your day to tune in on a Wednesday and watch a random imposter chief chess officer who has no idea how he got here talk about chess. So if you're here, you can troll with negativity, but I'm also going to assume you made a choice to be here and you actually are very interested in what we have to say. So on that note, check out the link, see the things we're doing. Before you assume or maybe dismiss that maybe it isn't even a better product than you think, or maybe the last time you tried it, you should give it a try. So I'll say that. My earpiece just fell out. Working on that. Working on a new behind the earpiece. You like that? A little professional, right? You're like, hey, what's going on here? Studio upgrades? I don't know. Not big headphones. That literally scared the bejesus out of me. I have no idea what that was. Did everyone else hear that? I don't know. We're gonna continue here. Okay. Oh, were the huge gifted subs? Is that what it was? I'm popping back over. Oh, that's okay. That's my producer trolling me. He's in my ear. Okay. All right, we're gonna keep going. But thank you for the gifted subs, Chess on Earth. I really appreciate it. And subscribers do support our events and our content. That is the absolute truth. So, all right, let's dive back in. I'm curious what everyone else thinks about the gameplay animations. I know it's a fun thing, and this is a pretty serious audience here. Those that are really the power power, I don't want to say users, it's like more than that, the power members of the community, right? In terms of people who are engaged in all kinds of stuff. You probably are like, yeah, whatever. But I even as a title player, like I think it's fun. Everyone likes to get congratulated when they win, but it also has that thing in the start of the game where it shows you your board, shows you their board, kind of a fun little thing. There's some other things we're working on just to add elements of awesomeness, and curious what you think about that. I'm not going to dive into the articles that break some of the stuff down. AK, our awesome mod support team, they're going to provide you with links if you do want to check out some of these things, because maybe some of the features in here you might have missed. There's been a new design for game review. It's rolled out. We've already gotten some feedback. There's some questions from the community we're going to get in later today, and I want to acknowledge that not everyone is thrilled with some of the design changes. That's actually super helpful. We love the feedback. We've also gotten positive feedback. So if you're someone who doesn't like it, know that there are people that do. But we're going to try to figure out all the right ways. Sometimes when you're serving the top end of a chess community, the power users, beginners, it's not a linear, easy puzzle to solve, right? It's more like one of those things where like you're doing this, and if you push too hard this way, it pops out something this way, right? And so you kind of have to back up a little bit and do that all the time. I would say that a lot of the features, as far as like how we're rolling them out and how we're trying to serve the community, I think sometimes can feel that way. And then sometimes you go really too far and it feels more like a Jenga puzzle, and you've gone too far to back up. You're like, oh my God, did my daughter really just pull that piece? Now the whole thing's going to fall. I hate when she does that. Like, sorry, that was literally a real-time vent. But we're working on it. We're going to talk about game review a little bit later today. Stats and puzzles. If you didn't know, I'm going to back up here actually in a second. I want to back up and show you two things. I want to show you the stats and puzzles and the hide rating games. A lot of people don't actually know that we added the those things. So let's just show real quick. People, in your settings, we've had this feature for a long time, or sorry, we've had this feature requested for a long time, but you can actually hide ratings now when you're playing. So if you're someone who wants to just focus on the chess, you have convinced yourself that you play better or worse depending on whether you're playing a higher or lower rated player. I would say let's talk about those psychological problems. Let's not wrap up our self-worth and whether we win one or lose one chess game. If you want to, we can we can dive into that community. But if you're like, hey, get out of here, therapy, not into it, just suppress these thoughts and feelings, hide your rating. There you go. Okay, you can do that. This is actually kind of cool, and it's something that people have requested for a long time. Also, this is super simple, but for a lot of power users who love going right from puzzles to their stats, you may not even know that, but just a simple thing we added. So we'll go ahead and leave those things and just talk about it for a second, maybe back out. But I just wanted you to show. I wanted to show you, if you weren't aware of those two things, you can be, or you should be. So, okay. We're going to get into talking about what I already said in terms of the lag. By the way, thank you again, Chess on Earth, for the 25 subs. Really appreciated it. And the real-time chess network is something we're working on. Internally, we've been calling, we call this RCN, which makes sense, real-time chess network. It's sort of a term we invented. I'm not going to speak to the technology, why we're so excited for the future of this and the investment that's been going into it. What we think it will do as far as being able to dial in even more closely, if you will, when we're doing our biggest, most badassiest events, so that there is like zero anything. It feels like you're sitting in a room with someone, Magnus versus Hikaru, even if they're not. But also, more importantly, it's to support the scale and the millions of chess games played every day around the world. This is something we've been working on for like 2+ years. And as we got ready for the show, and Eric and Rafal and some of the tech team wanted to come on, and as I said, address some of the bugs and some of the things that happened, as well as, to be honest, as we're being transparent about some of the bugs, also put to rest some of the false rumors and or misunderstandings or misconceptions about what actually the technology can do and what it's capable of doing for someone to have a great play experience. We're going to do both those things, right? But we can't accept the acknowledgement of where we want to do better without also educating ourselves on how this actually works and what it is we're trying to do when you have all the physical and invisible pipelines in the air powering our internet. That is kind of crazy when you think about it, by the way. If you told people, in Salem a couple hundred years ago that, at some point we'd be sending messages encrypted via zeros and ones magically through the air and you wouldn't be able to see it, I'm pretty sure that your day and your life probably ends that night. I don't want to get graphic or anything, mentioning the witch trials, but pretty crazy. Sorry, that was a random digression there. But we're going to talk about this, and this is a big tech update that we've been working on. The fact that we are now at more than 52% of live games, and it is getting better and faster. Shout out to one of the anonymous and amazing supporters of the chess community who told me the other day this person is about 2,500 on average above Blitz, and said that really feels like they're noticing the difference in terms of the quality of speed. And that was really nice to hear. So we're working on that, and I think it's going to continue. Next slide. We've been talking about this a lot this week. You already know it. I should also have some chat open here. I'm going to do that. 1 second. So then I can focus on the show. I don't always have to go back to chat on that. What's up? What's up, Yoshi 59 on Twitch? And so I don't know if you're trolling someone who just said they've never seen the SEC before. But yeah, the Speed Chess Championship. Yeah, I see you, Usama, on YouTube. You're not happy with the game review. Again, I've already kind of addressed it. It's going to be in the community Q&A section. I guess I'll talk a little more about it then, but this isn't a show where we tend to follow super closely the script, because I'm just going to be honest and answer things as we see them, especially if and when we think that the criticism is fair and appropriate, and not just here to spread negativity. Thank you for saying that, Kurt Metcalf. Someone take a screenshot of Kurt Metcalf's request on YouTube and go ahead and share it with Adam and Eric on Slack, because you might be happy to know that family memberships, I don't want to speak out of turn, but we want to do everything we can. If you didn't know this, if you're a student out there with an EDU confirmed and verified email, you can already get a discount on memberships at Chess.com. Fun fact, we've always offered private discounts to schools around the world whenever they've reached out. It's not something that was publicly advertised, but as we grew Chess Kid, we expanded within the Scholastic community and wanted to really serve that sort of, direct to schools market with no social networking features, no UGC, no user-generated content, and giving discounts that are massive on Chess Kid. We kind of always expanded that to Chess.com, just so you know. But it's always been on a bit of a case-by-case basis. But Kurt Metcalf, you would be very happy to know that family memberships are coming. News by AI. We'll see how nice you are today and whether you get a diamond membership at the end of the show. All right, back to this, because I know we got more segments around the corner. The Speed Chess Championship kicked off. This has been crazy. I think the round of 16 delivered. It's now over. I had the call on the final match, which was Fabiano versus Alexei. So Caruana versus Serrana yesterday. That was a fun one. Hans Niemann beat Maxime Vacher-Lagrave in an epic and exciting match. That was crazy. So I think this event always delivers. This year doesn't seem to be any exception, and the fact that we're going to Paris is awesome. So I guess this is just the reminder. There you go. Yeah, a reminder that we will see you in Paris. Paris apparently is the global hotspot right now, right? You got the Olympics going on. You got the Speed Chess Championship happening. Apparently, Paris is the place to be. Who knew? All right. But you should get your tickets if you are even considering it. I think if that's something you've wanted to do, it's also in a great area of town. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. So what do we have next in store here? Okay, it's just some community updates of some stuff we've been doing. If you missed this is kind of news to the chess community if you missed it, because there's more to this story coming. We've been working with the NFL. Obviously, they were gracious and amazing in providing their studio. Going to New Jersey and seeing kind of the birthplace of how Steve Sable and how the NFL went from kind of casual football, if you will, even if it was serious, but it really wasn't what it was until they invested in media and storytelling. And looking at the history that is in the venue we were at, by the way, I just want to say that it was like incredible, and thank you to all the NFL folks who welcomed us. And then we held Blitz Champs and did commentary live from their studio, which was a big deal. Yeah, so we're going to continue to work with the NFL as a partner. There's some more media coming out here. We'll talk a little bit about it in the media update section when Alex Lebo joins us. But if you're a fan of the NFL, look for some behind the scenes kind of a documentary thing coming out in terms of locker room chess and all the stuff there. Just pretty cool. And we're all here because we love chess. And you're like, I don't even care if anyone else outside of the chess community loves chess, but it is cool when you appreciate that great athletes, great performers of all kinds, like love chess, and partnering with the NFL was amazing. So, yeah, we also have been doing a lot of fun events around the community, and around the broader kind of sports community. You see some stuff we've been doing with UFC and professional bull riding. Shout out to Endeavor, who's been a partner of ours and helping to bring some of that stuff to life. So, just an update. If you're like, hey, like that's actually really cool. I didn't know that was happening. Now you know. If you didn't know, now you know. And yeah, let's keep moving on. Let's talk about other things that are happening in the community. This event was maybe the under the radar hype event of the year so far. The Andrew Tang victory in the Hyper Bullet Championship, right? Those games were awesome. And for something about the Hyper Bullet Championship, like the event itself translates so well to just amazing highlights. I didn't actually watch this event live, guilty, but I feel like I saw the whole thing with all the different cuts and shorts that were put everywhere on whatever you want to call it, your TikToks, your Instagrams, your YouTube shorts. So this was a ton of fun. The main thing about these community events, and we've got others listed here, but the main thing I want to call out here is that we are going to be doing more of this. And as we just look at everything in the chess landscape, all the events in the world, which of course are not just Chess.com's Champions Chess Tour, SCC, and the stuff we're doing, but a FIDE World Championship cycle and a Grand Chess Tour and a lot of billionaires entering the space and doing crazy and awesome stuff, and I mean that really genuinely. It's awesome. And you've got new events like the Global Chess League, and we're partnering with Tech Mahindra. A lot of people super excited about the freestyle chess event and everything that's happening there. There's a lot going on in chess. I saw a comment in chat just from someone. This was like, I think on Monday when I was commentating, and someone was like, there's too many events in chess to follow. Like, it was like, yeah, like there's a lot of events in chess. But I'm saying that to say that, we've looked at all the things we're all trying to do. And without speaking to the big picture of all the stuff people would want to talk about, our relationship with FIDE and how we view the future of maybe chess as a sport or the commercial viability of the game. I've been talking about that for years, since, before it was maybe less than a pipe dream. We also just want to do a great job with community events. And so if we bring back the slide here, what I would say is, I think every one of these events at some point had an open qualifier to you, the community. And if not, Michael Brancato, Nintendo dude, if you're out there, please strike me down with like one of that icebreakers move you do where you grab people in Smash Brothers and then you just like destroy them. And it's like everyone hates you because it's like, that's like an OP move. And are you even playing real Smash Brothers? Will someone clip that and send it to Brancato? Because I want to troll him. If I'm wrong that everybody in the community isn't able to qualify for these events, let me know. But I think that they are. And the idea we have behind the community championship sort of series is exactly that, where we can have great events with, yes, prize money, but really it's not about even the prize money for the top players. It's about streaming while they play. It's about having content to serve their communities. It's about having a ton of fun. And it's about providing more for the community themselves to qualify in. Yeah, go ahead, Brancato, bring it on. Next meetup. I was Pikachu, and I would just sit in the corner, and I would down B, and then I would over B, and people would be like, "You're stupid," and they come over, and then I just smash A until Pikachu destroys you. That was kind of my go-to move. Okay, I know just the fact that I said that sounds like an 800 rated chess player saying something that he expects a titled player to respect. I get what I just did. Okay, I get it. Also, I was Samus. Okay, they're all open qualifiers confirmed from the team here in real time, and any Hooters. So there's my Smash Brothers. Brancato visited my family. Fun fact, I'll tell a quick story. And it started out like we were all like me and I have 4 kids, and we're all playing Smash Brothers, and like it's like a free for all, right? By the end of the night, it was literally like 5-on-1 against Brancato, and I think he might have lost 2 out of 5, but he still won 3-5. It was insane. So Michael Brancato, professional Smash Brothers player, the events commissioner here, and anyway, so there you go. Shout out to you, Brancato. Hate that guy. Damn that guy. Just kidding. Love that guy, actually. All right. The next thing I want to say we did, this was maybe one of the biggest wins for some of the OGs of the community, is we brought back Banter Blitz, and it is only going to continue. Thank you, Justin Bouchard, for that kind comment there. And we do love this community, and you're responding to someone from Nimzo. Sorry, I'm looking at YouTube chat over here, a little bit out of the corner of my eye. Got Twitch chat open as well. But yeah, this was great. Shout out to Jan. Do you guys know how tall Jan Gustafsson is? I was hanging out with him a bunch in Toronto at the candidates. That guy's really tall. Like, I just don't know if you know that. I wanted you to know. Gadakomsky is watching. He's doing a watch party, a state of chess. We should get more people to do more watch parties. Gada's waiting for the fair play updates. Dive into controversy. Gada, I got your email, just FYI. It is literally starred in my inbox. This has been a really crazy week with a lot of commentary. So I'm breaking the fourth wall. Personal shout out to Gadakomsky, the famous bleepin' legend. Your email is not being ignored. Deeply appreciate your concerns and everything you said. And I've been kind of trying to get caught up with things that you've already been discussing with Casa before I get back to you. So, Gadakomsky, love you. Please give us some time, and I will get back to you personally here pretty soon. Master Chief Zod, you do not get a shout out, although I just read your comment in chat. Gada gets a real shout out. Fun fact, I once ran into Gadakomsky at JFK, like we were going totally different ways. That just happens sometimes randomly. But okay, Jan Gustafsson is very tall. He also hosted our first ever Banter Blitz, which I think was appropriate given that that's such an awesome event for the community. And yeah, by the way, Grandmaster Luca Moroni just won our 3rd Spell Chess qualifier today. So yeah, Grandmasters, community members alike playing in Spell Chess. People love Spell Chess. I hate Spell Chess. Like, regular chess is hard. Can I just say, like, I'm not that into variants. I mean, I just said it. You can go to chess.com/variants. There are so many amazing variants. Like, chess is hard. Like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we inventing variants that make it harder? I don't know. No, I'm kidding. I love 4-player chess for some reason. I don't know why. That gets to me. All right. Any Hooters, back to Banter Blitz. I'm going to be hosting a Banter Blitz soon. It'll be a combination of an OG Bullet Brawl session, Banter Blitz, and it's going to be fun. Miles North, chess.com stands behind every single word written in the Hans Niemann report, and that is faux show. We'll get into some fair play stuff later, but yeah, we stand behind every single word written there because it's all true. All right, let's back up a little bit, and I think that that's going to bring our first segment to a close here in terms of just running you through what we did within the community over the last. Actually, no, wait, we got a fair play update, which is a good segment. Yeah, so let's before we drop to a break, welcome International Master Casa Corley. Let's talk a little bit about the fair play numbers. And again, quick reminder, maybe AK, maybe you could throw links to every one of these reports in chat, just like a good summary to kind of bring the first segment to a close here, so that those who are curious and have been curious and again want to stick around for the most exciting, explosive segment of the show where we talk about fair play and big things. You can start by clicking on every link that AK is going to share with you now, which is April, May, June, July. These are the numbers. If you want to dive in, looks like the numbers kind of average somewhere there. Yeah, I mean, what is it? 320 is the average here by those numbers. If I'm just quickly doing some math. But those are reports that are created either by you, the community, via that little user snap thing where you can report someone, or by our own staff. So those are the reports that we generated God, it's a lot of reports we generate. We got to store all that stuff too. It's crazy. Then those reports are leading to, on average, somewhere between 55 and 60,000 accounts closed each month. Of course, those include title players along with non-title players, if we'll just say that. You see the title player numbers. Unfortunately, April was a big month for title players. A lot of them closed, 13 of them to be exact. And you see on average where we're at with specifying when we close Grandmasters and International Masters. Not because closing FIDE Masters and Candidate Masters and National Masters isn't a big deal. It protects the community just the same. But, people are curious in terms of the action we're taking against the highest profile members in the game. And International and Grandmaster titles are the most difficult titles to earn, as everyone knows. They are the only really true professional titles in chess because they're the ones that kind of take, a lifetime commitment to earn. And once you get them, they're not just rating based. You can't lose them. So if you didn't know that, that's like a little bit of education. We should talk about how norms work. If people are like, I don't understand what he's talking about, I'll tell you how FIDE norms work some other time on a different show, not today. But actually, no, let's go back to the slide. I want to quickly mention the rating points refunded. And just those are some big numbers. So if you are a member who got a small piece of 22,358,347 rating points, you're welcome. I'm not going to read the number for every month, but that's a lot of rating points that we are refunding. And there you go. We obviously have some big things to talk about here. And every time we do, I hope that for those who are truly curious and not judgmental, right? Be curious, not judgmental. That wasn't necessarily a Ted Lasso quote, Mr. Walt Whitman. Be curious, not judgmental. If you are truly here, interested to learn and appreciate the difficult task this is, the team and everything that goes into it, the next segment is really for you. And this is probably the biggest fair play update we've done on State of Chess ever coming up. At least certainly in years, in terms of what it means for us going forward, how and why we got here, in terms of what we're going to be doing with public closures, what we've been investing in behind the scenes, the amount of proctoring we're already doing that people don't even know about, both physical and person, as well as other types of softwares. And again, for those who are frustrated and make reports, it's always a reminder. Again, AK shared the links. I'm going to ask him to share one more time. Like, the self-proclaimed cheat detectives on Reddit, if they really wanted to know, I always wonder why more people don't just investigate, like, who was being closed, because it's not hard to figure out. Some of the big players have been closed, but you don't have to do your own investigation because we're changing policies anyway. But I think one way I would say to look at it is sometimes there's this conversation that feels like people are either being ignored and yelling at social media, or they don't think we're doing enough, or they maybe think we are somewhere in the middle. But a lot of it is actually in the articles, and as far as taking action against title players, it is happening. So in some ways, I like to say, maybe everybody is more on the same team than you think they are. Maybe everybody wants the game to be clean, and we all are actually moving the goalpost appropriately. Or maybe you don't want to move the goalpost because that changes the goal. You want to move the ball up the field. To complete my NFL reference, shout out to Blitz Champs. Don't go anywhere. The State of Chess.com is going to be back with International Master Casa Corley as we dive into fair play on the other side.
Want chess on the go? Check out these essential chess apps. Turn your phone into a chess clock. Improve your game. Find a new challenge. A safe place for kids. Fun and adventure. And of course, play. Learn more at chess.com/apps.
Introducing Chess Events by Chess.com, the brand new app that helps you stay up to date with the latest tournaments and results of the most important games. Get breaking news, tournament updates, live stream coverage, results of your favorite players, or a specific matchup you're excited for. Never again miss a tournament's final outcome, a critical moment, or news recaps by the world's top chess journalists. Chess Events makes it easier than ever to bring the chess world to you. Download the app today.
This summer, Paris, France is set to hold the greatest sports spectacle the world has ever seen. And no, I'm not talking about the Olympics, though that's pretty cool too, I guess. It's the 2024 Speed Chess Championship. In the 2024 Speed Chess Championship, 16 of the world's greatest speed chess superstars take up the gauntlet. Only 4 will make it to Paris. For the first time ever, few are invited into the battleground. Book your ticket now for arena-side viewing, live commentary, immersive pop-up booths, and more. Level up your ticket to gold, platinum, or diamond to unlock special event gift boxes, a VIP lounge, and player meet and greets. Hurry before the clock runs out.
Want chess?
Check it out.
Staff members, like, yeah, I can hear you.
Right. Three, two, one, go!
Check it out.
Right.
We're back with State of Chess. Audio leak there, pretty funny for those who heard me talking about the different staff members. We're working on some updates behind the scene to keep you getting all the information you need. So hope you enjoyed that. Breaking news. I did not forget to use sunscreen. I kind of did. Got a lot of sun this weekend, and that's where we're at. Thank you for pointing that out. It's been peeling and scabbing all over my face, so I'm glad that that's not 100% showing. So I'm a little sunburned. They're like, "Hey Danny, did you know you're a little sunburned?" I'm like, "Oh no, is it something that bothers you?" They're like, "No, we just want you to be self-conscious about it for the rest of the show." Oh, okay, thanks, chat. On that note, we're gonna move on and dive in to some discussions about fair play and what we're doing at Chess.com that is very, very different than what we've done for years, and represents kind of some major both philosophical changes, some logistical changes, in some cases some legal in terms of service changes, all of the above, and a guy that knows a lot more about it than I do because he oversees this stuff, works closely with everybody involved, making chess clean at Chess.com and keeping title players happy. His name is Casa Corley. He's an international master, and let's bring him on right now. Casa, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, Danny? I'm coming to you guys from Copenhagen, so different scenery, different background, but glad to be with everyone and talk about some really important stuff today.
Awesome, for sure. The topic is big, as you already know. You've been listening in and prepared to dive in. I wanted to say that normally when you and I are going over stuff that we haven't looked at community questions before when it comes to those videos we do, the Fair Play videos for YouTube. And so we get to have our off-the-cuff sort of sometimes humorous and trollish reactions. This is a little bit different here today. This is some material that we've been preparing to talk about that has already in many ways been public to the community. But let's dive in, I guess, right off the top with the Wall Street Journal report and Chess.com's subsequent I guess, even deeper dive into the data from Title Tuesday events and what we uncovered. This is part of a series of things we're trying to do, and what are the goals of what we're trying to do here, and summarize for everybody what we learned.
Yeah, so first and foremost, we're really trying to be more transparent here. I mean, historically, Fair Play has been a bit of a black box org, and that's been intentionally so because we're doing really tough work. And we don't want to reveal all our methodology, but at the same time, we understand that people have questions. So we've been really keen on publishing, Fair Play reports now, where folks can get a peek behind the curtain and see, what we're working on and what our research kind of demonstrates and so on. And the graph in front of you is actually from our second Fair Play report. So before I talk about the second Fair Play report, I'm just going to talk briefly about the first, because in the first one, we compared the upset rates in Title Tuesday with upset rates of underdogs over the board. There'd been a lot of claims out there some months ago about, well, there's 30% of cheating in Title Tuesday or 50% cheating in Title Tuesday. And we really wanted to answer that question. And frankly, our findings demonstrate that was pretty unfounded. And we found that, underdog rates, upset rates in over the board chess were quite comparable with online chess. So basically the difference was negligible, and we concluded there isn't some crazy amount of upsets happening in Titled Tuesday. Now, what followed from that was our second report, and basically the second report we tried to answer the question, well, how much cheating is there really? Because there's all this speculation about percentages and so on, and we really wanted to tangibly answer that question. And so we did this by basically creating some simulations and training a model with a particular data point you're going to see here on this chart called the estimated cheating rate, or ECR. And the right way to think about that, for folks that aren't going to read this and are kind of trying to be curious about what are they really saying, is the ECR conveys how many surplus overperformers there are in an event. So in any Title Tuesday, Danny, if you play Title Tuesday, I know you're not as, fresh as you used to be chess-wise. Neither am I, frankly.
That's why I don't play a lot of Title Tuesdays, but go ahead.
But you may be prone to an overperformance now and then. And every Title Tuesday, it's something I have to convey all the time. There are going to be players that punch above their weight, that play much better than they normally do on that day. And so we expect there to be a natural number of players that do that. The ECR, again, the estimated cheating rate, is the overperformance. So it's how many more people than expected overperform in a particular event. And what we did is we do this by looking at every individual player in a Title Tuesday and their particular slate of opponents and identifying a performance interval, prediction interval for how many points they'd score in that particular event. So if they score more than their interval, more than the top end of their interval, it's basically deemed an overperformance. And we found that actually in the vast majority of events, the surplus overperformers are 0 to 1%. And at worst, and it's about 2%, a little less than 2%. So the conclusion for folks at home is that in Title Tuesday, the cheating is actually never worse than 2%. It's 2% at most, and in most cases, it's actually 0 to 1%. And again, this is conveyed by how many surplus overperformers there are. To give you a kind of a tangible number, right? Because this is something that I was wondering when I was talking to our analysts. If you have 500 players in an event, right? 500 players in a Title Tuesday, we would expect maybe about 2% of players to overperform. So that would be something along the lines of 5 to 10, essentially. Now, in a very small number of events, we might see more overperformance than that. And that point would be like, let's say there's 2% overperformance. Then tangibly, you might have a situation where, okay, there are about 20 players that overperform. That's when we'd start to say, okay, this is a little bit different. This is a little bit sus. So the main conclusion is that in the vast majority of events, the surplus overperformance is actually quite in line with what we'd expect, and that there is not some kind of crazy number of players like yourself, Danny, that are just killing it. And so that's the answer. That's the kind of the answer to the question.
Well, let me dive in a little bit and ask some questions, because again, I didn't write this report and I wasn't as close to it as you, so I will represent the community on some of the tough questions. I'm actually curious, like, what actually gives us the right, or what data is informing what defines an overperformance? How often do we expect exactly a 2,500 to beat a 2,800? And what I know it's a little bit correlated to the first report in terms of comparisons we've done to over the board blitz and what you would traditionally see in chess. And so I'm going to let you, I want to talk about that a little bit, because I think there's an assumption that's made that we're measuring it properly. What gives us the right to say this person overperformed, but it's not? But the other thing I want to say before we get into that is I want to clarify, because I think there might be room to misinterpret. I misinterpreted this, so I'm going to say it. Room to misinterpret that this report and the data and the chart you see before you, everybody. And if you read the Wall Street Journal article, or if you're a subscriber, they're great. They did a really great job. Shout out to Andrew Beaton and the crew there, bringing the news. Our report on Chess.com, the Fair Play blog, makes it even more clear the level of granular detail we went to. What I want to clarify, Casa, that I think is misunderstood is just because we're saying the assumption or the accusation or the paranoia that rampant cheating is happening is actually not true doesn't mean that we're not looking into every one of these cases. Like, just because somebody overperforms and we think they're clean doesn't mean they didn't get a very thorough and detailed cheat report done on them, and that the team wasn't investigating it start to finish, right? And when we talk about 1 to 2% in the worst of events, you see the red column. Let's bring back the chart, team, if you can do that. That's not something we're thrilled about, like, to be clear, because if you think about 1% of title players, that's still like 1 in 100, right? And we are in the business of making sure that doesn't happen. We talked about that earlier. Title players are being closed a lot, but I want to clarify that the data speaking to the broad, I guess if we're just going to say the landscape of cheating online and how it's being overstated or not, and how we're establishing those yardsticks, that's kind of what I want you to talk about from the first report, doesn't mean that every single one of these people isn't getting probed very thoroughly. And I say that in the most appropriate and inappropriate way. We are all over it. And it doesn't mean that the 1 or 2% people are people we're okay with. But if you actually look at who we're closing, whether we were revealing their names or not, we're getting into that, you might actually say that we're actually closing about the right amount of people that are cheating, right, Costa? So if you would, like, talk a little bit about how we established the yardstick and what gives us the right to say we can judge what an overperformance is. How did we determine that? And a little bit about still the process that happens even if we think someone is clean but overperformed.
Yeah, so in terms of the discussion around how we establish kind of the yardstick for overperformance, we took let's take any particular Title Tuesday. We took all 11 games from an individual in a Title Tuesday and their specific opponents, because again, every event you're playing a different slate of opponents. Your score might be different based upon that that slate of opponents that you have based on the quality of people you're playing against. And we ran a simulation 10,000 times on the particular set of opponents. So if you imagine you play this slate of 11 players, sometimes you might have 6 out of 11. Sometimes you might have 9 out of 11. And what we wanted to understand with those prediction intervals is how 95% of the time you're going to be within this particular range. And if you're above that particular range, it conveys an overperformance. And so we simulated each individual's score essentially against that same slate of opponents 10,000 times across 282 events to determine what an overperformance is. So it's a very sort of thorough analysis of their potential, frankly, their potential to do really well. And so that's kind of how you get at that point.
It's super helpful. AK, if you don't mind, again, I know you shared it earlier, but let's make sure we have links to both of these reports, both the first one we did back in April, because I think that was part of the initial, way we established clean data to compare ourselves against, if you will, right? We took what was happening in Title Tuesdays, made comparisons to other events that, whether it was over the board blitz events, to establish what's happening online versus what people think should happen. And then, the report that came after it. I just want to make sure people have links to both. So, and then talk just a little bit again, and we're going to move on then to what we're doing once we determine someone is cheating here in just a second. Talk about public closures and the big policy changes and how we're doing that. Again, when we're reviewing overperformers, real quick, like give a little bit of insight into that process, right? Someone overperforms. People are taking note. Like what's going on next?
Yeah, sure. So we have this report and we're talking about overperformances, but let me talk kind of concretely about what happens in any given Title Tuesday, just for folks at home wondering. Every Title Tuesday, we have a lot of analysts on the case. And so what that means is that during that two plus hour event, we have folks running reports in real time. We have folks aware of the standings and what people's scores are. We have good accounting of who's upset who and so on. And we take all of that data in real time, and we marry that with the human perspective that a lot of the folks on our team have that have actually played chess at a pretty decent level before. And we take sort of the data, as always, and the human perspective. And the data might tell us something about players that have overperformed based on our models and so on. But then there's sometimes the human perspective where I might see, someone that had a really incredible run and be like, hey, that's an overperformance, right? So it's really marrying those two things. And also, again, we have great players at Chess.com, and a lot of these folks sometimes talk to me. And so we're very receptive to people telling us when they think something is amiss. We have our data that conveys that as well. And we have analysts that are trained to do this at a high level. And so when you have that combination, you have a very good idea after Title Tuesday who's done something special.
We have WhatsApp DMs that are always popping off, and in some cases other things. So, all right, it's helpful. And obviously there's more to it. There's more to the algorithm. There's more to the behind the scenes rated R conversations in these Slack channels, the infamous Fair Play Confidential channel, referred to more than a few times, as far as where some of the highest profile cases in chess history were broken over the years in terms of how the team works together and investigates. But okay, so great stuff. I encourage anyone who wants to know more about what we're doing and maybe hasn't read the reports, both the most recent Wall Street Journal one as well as the previous one, as thoroughly as you would like. The State of Chess sometimes is a show that reminds people, as we're doing, community updates, products, but also things like this going on. If you weren't aware of it, dive in. And we're going to continue to take looks at things as we feel is appropriate, and as we think it really adds value to the conversation, especially when I guess if you want to say things happen, right? I don't want to call them scandals because I know better now. I know what a real scandal is. But when people are discussing things and want to feel heard, want to know what we're doing. So let's dive in now to our our bullet point update of what we're doing, because Casa, the really big topic is the second one here, and then the third one is also a fascinating one, and it became a topic of discussion yesterday during the SEC.
Yeah,
We've touched on the reports, and as I said at the top of the show, we've been sharing that we've been closing people, really transparently for a couple of years now. And that only started a couple of years ago. And I still always stand by that. I don't think as many people were aware of how transparent we were being until now. And that if you were a self-proclaimed cheat detective on Reddit, as I like to say, you probably could have figured out who we're closing, including, top 100 GMs before reports became public. But that's not going to be needed anymore, Casa, because the biggest thing ever is changing in terms of how we're going to be approaching this. What does this mean for us behind the scenes in terms of closing people publicly for the first time, at least consistently? We have closed people publicly before for egregious violations. PP in my Pampers, for those who remember that. There are some others that made themselves public, and we then confirmed, whether that's a 72-page Hans Niemann report or other things that happened throughout our very long history in doing this. But we have never approached this topic as aggressively or with the level of, hey, we're not going to hold secrets anymore for you if you cheat. Title players be warned. What are we doing here, and what does this mean?
Look, we're really working hard to protect the integrity of the game that we all know and love. And, we talked about these fair play reports, and part of that was to kind of level set how much, cheating may be going on, how much cheating is going on. And everything we're going to talk about from here on out, essentially, is discussing what we're doing about it. And so one of the things we're really critically doing about it is changing the way we've dealt with title player closures. Again, as Danny kind of intimated, for a long time, we basically had, title players closed anonymously. And we feel like we're just in a new environment now where the stakes are higher than ever. The prize money is higher than ever. And frankly, I think title players, and again, I'm speaking for myself here, should have more responsibility, not less, as stewards of the game, to kind of, do the right thing and essentially play fairly and be, meaningful ambassadors of the game. And so what we're doing here is, when in prize events now, if you cheat in a prize event, you are actually going to have a public closure on even a first offense. And Chess.com has been in place.
Title Tuesday.
And that includes,
we're not
very
just talking
specifically
prize
Title
events
Tuesday.
of the Champions Chess Tour SCC nature, right? We're talking any event that has money on the line.
That's right. And they're qualifiers, frankly. And so it's, when there's a qualifier for, the CCT, there are qualifiers for all types of events. And whether it's a prize event or it's a qualifier, they'll be closed in a first offense. And that's a really big deal for us. And then if you've cheated in pool play or casual play, that's when you play 3-0 or 5-0 or on site or 1-0 on site, you'll be closed on a second offense or a second chance account, essentially. So we still are holding prize events as kind of, our premium dynamic here. And we want to kind of really, swiftly enforce violations there. But even if you are cheating in pool play against someone that is just beating you a bunch, there's going to be consequences to that. So this is a really big deal. And I think for a long time, there's been, this idea, well, why do untitled players have this work under these dynamics, but title players don't? And title players have a lot more skin in the game. They have, titles to maintain. They sometimes have economies to protect. And we do believe that this kind of public reckoning in some way, shape, or form could serve as a deterrent in some instances. And in other instances, it's just the right thing to do. People are going to be people. That's the best way I could put it. And, there have to be consequences for that.
Well said. And, chat is asking questions here, the fair questions, because many of them are not title players, so they did not see the email you sent out, Casa, where we explained this to title players as far as why the change. Why did we go from making closures privately, operating with a bit of a shadow ban policy that any longstanding members of the community have kind of known and understood? It was sort of a known unknown, right? Or whatever you want to call it, an unspoken kind of an unspoken standard operating procedure, if you will, that accounts were closed and inactive, but not necessarily publicly marked. So you explained it well. I think you touched on it quickly at the top, but I want to tee you up again. You said the stakes have changed, highlighting two guys like us who grew up playing online chess. Online chess was seen as more casual. There weren't as many prize events. The stakes of someone's livelihood in some ways expand even beyond the prize events themselves, but their communities, their streaming, the creator opportunity that exists for someone who might be violating the rules, the upside is higher than ever, and the potential consequences therefore should match that. But I want to tee you up again, like, why really make that change now, knowing that if public closures might lead to more attention and more people threatening to sue us? Like, what would you say to that?
Yeah, I would say a few things. I think you echoed. I'll echo one thing, which is the prize money is higher, the stakes are higher. I think the other thing that is fair to say, given how far online chess has come in the last 4, 5, 6 years, is the perception of the game has changed. There was a time when I was much younger, frankly, where online chess was not taken seriously and not considered on the same level. Now people care very much about their rating. They care online ratings. They care very much about their standing in online and in the virtual environment. And frankly, cheating is actually a much, much more serious thing in this environment than it used to be. There was a time, pre-pandemic, where I think because people didn't consider online chess on the same level, it was, it's whatever, it's not a big deal, and so on. It's always been a big deal, but there's no chess observer who's basically been following the game's direction over the last 5 to 10 years, and has seen the advent of Rapid and Blitz and all this stuff online, can say that online chess is a laggard anymore. It's right. In some ways still leading. It's a leading indicator or a leading component of the health of the game. And so we need to protect that health. We need to protect that integrity. And that's why folks that are like, oh, this is just online chess, that's a perspective of the past.
It makes sense. I want to dive into Gadakomsky's question from chat and pull back up the slide that shows our fair play closure numbers, if you would, as I respond to Gada here. And I appreciate that we're having what feels like it feels like this discussion is helpful and thoughtful, and it's something that obviously people want to talk about. So I appreciate all the thoughtful questions that are coming in. The answer, Gada, is not only do we have I can let Casa respond to the actual team members. The Fair Play team is actually quite massive. And as you look at the numbers, I wanted to first validate sort of the question, or maybe the implication within your question, that there is too much cheating for our operators to handle. What I want to say is, if you look at the numbers, the scale of cheating on a daily basis takes time. Yes, it is very possible that you might report someone, whether you're streaming or casual, whatever, and it doesn't get gotten to as quickly as we would all want right away, just because we are handling a lot of things at scale. But when it comes to our prize events, when it comes to Title Tuesday, when it comes to dialing in, not only is it, you would imagine it's within our business interest, but it is exactly where we would want our best, including multiple grandmasters, the most experienced cheat detectives in the game who've broken open the biggest cases, some of them known, some of them not. They are all over this in real time, in addition to the staff that is proctoring and reviewing both if it's egregious cheating versus something that maybe what I'm telling you is we are operating in real time. That doesn't necessarily mean we're closing in real time, because especially given the stakes of what it means to close a title player, it is imperative and important that due process happens, right? That no matter what's happening with someone's overperformance, that the team has time to take note, to review, and then ultimately come to a decision. And I think that's where, Casa, some of the gaps happen. I think sometimes people feel it's frustrating when you feel getting cheated against, right? Raise your hand. You've been there, right? No one likes that feeling. Like it's absolutely infuriating. But we also have to acknowledge that as competitors, we're basically making that accusation or determining that that's happening in real time from an emotional perspective without really looking at everything that actually happened, right? The truth is, there are times when you need to look at the games more thoroughly. So we don't operate, even as we move toward a public closure policy with closing in real time, for all the right reasons. But it doesn't mean just looking at the numbers, which is why I brought up that chat. It doesn't mean that title players haven't been getting closed every single month. And that, by the way, multiple of these closures in the numbers I was showing might have actually been some of that 1 or 2% in Title Tuesday, just being honest. But it takes time to get to it and close them. And so I know, I guess I kind of took the question, Casa, but I wanted to just say, like, we have more than enough operators in real time reviewing, especially our prize events. It's just that the process, the deserved due process, is the thing that takes time. Is that a fair way to summarize that?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll just add to that. Like, I personally, in the last few weeks, have removed people from Title Tuesday while it's going on. It's not something that's unheard of. It's not something we're not willing to pull the trigger on. I personally, and maybe I'm giving up a little bit too much information here, but Danny will forgive me later. When I see someone, threatening the leaderboard, if you will, that's something where if I see someone threaten the leaderboard and they're playing well and they have some upsets, and I don't have understanding of who they are, or they're not responding to potentially a call to join, a request to join a call, which sometimes we do for players that overperform during an event, I'll remove them. And they might not even be cheating. They might just be playing really well. But if they're not responding to Chess.com staff and they're killing it and having some sus moments, we're going to move on that to protect the integrity of the event and the standings. And so that's a certain element of it. There's other instances where we are able to get conclusive data during an event, and we'll move on that. So there are instances where it does happen. What happens in most cases, though, is someone is suspicious, someone draws the ire of many people, but we don't feel it's conclusive. And we meet on that particular individual that same week to determine essentially their fate on the platform. And so that dynamic is at play as well. So I think the thing that we have to understand is everyone deserves kind of a fair shake, and adjudicating a title player case is not instantaneous, even though your feelings are, even though your desire to get this person out of here immediately is, even sometimes for me. And as a very former active player, I get this feeling a decent amount of the time.
Well said. I think as we bring back our talking points here, and then I want to dive into what you just kind of touched on there, is where we get into the difference between the analyst work, the reviewing of the data, the reports, and the due process and the manual review, everything that goes into time taken, the very robust way we tackle trying to catch the best players in the world for doing what they're supposed to do. Play the best engine moves, but at a rate that they shouldn't. That's a very difficult process. That's the process we've been talking a lot about in regards to what we're doing behind the scenes. But then the real-time observation Casa talked about, we are doing more kicks than ever. We are even willing to make closures than ever. I was just highlighting that because Casa said it's a difficult moment. It deserves due process, but it's where we actually transition from analysts, Casa, to proctoring, which is the real-time observation, the investigation, and sort of the making sure that the environment has nothing very obviously suspicious on. And I want to tee you up on that, but real quick before we move on from the policy change, for those who don't know, maybe because you're not a title player playing in prize events, this means that players are agreeing to real-time modals every time, which is like, I agree. It gives us an even stronger position in regards to how we're tackling it. And I want to say that because there were those who were commenting on why make this change now and what does it mean for more potential lawsuits in the future. What I would say is this. We've always been prepared to go to court. I've been saying on this show for years that we may not be closing accounts as fast as some title players want, but when we close them, be sure that we're ready to defend it in court. And there was no public arena that I guess demonstrated that more appropriately than what happened in 2022 into 2023 with Hans Niemann. Let's not forget that case was dismissed with prejudice in a federal court. So whether some people believe the Hans Niemann report is true, whether you don't or not, what I would say is that the accusations made in terms of Chess.com's motives or anything that happened there were dismissed by a federal judge with prejudice, for the record. So we went to court. We will do it again. We stand by that we have always been ready to go to court. And I want to make that very clear, that nothing about us being more aggressive, and yes, taking the right steps to make sure we are even stronger and even more prepared to defend this game that you all want us to do, yes, we have been doing some things and investing in our terms of service, strengthening our legal understanding in terms of how to be better prepared. But for the record, we were always ready to go to court. We have gone to court. We would do it again. And I want to make sure that people understand that nothing about that has really changed, other than perhaps we're going to be even more publicly debating these things in the future, because we do expect to get sued, but we expect to win because we wouldn't close if we weren't ready to do that. So wanted to say that, Casa. That's my speaking on behalf of the leadership and of the legal team here. Tell us a little bit about proctoring, what we're doing that people maybe know about and what people don't know about.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about this because I do think this is kind of a next evolution in online chess and kind of where we're going with this. I will say for the record, for folks at home, we do have over 30 people on our Fair Play team. So we have a pretty robust team that is, again, running reports, doing research, adjudicating cases and so on. But having better tools to do this is huge. And the proctoring is a huge thing for us. So historically, for folks at home that aren't title players, when you play in Title Tuesday, there are a number of players that are asked to play to play in a call. It might be because they overperformed in a previous event or something of that nature, and they'll be in a Zoom call with 2 cameras, just like any prize event, and they'll play all their games in that event. And it's a way for us to kind of level set their performances, get a sense of where they're at, have to ensure they're playing cleanly and so on. Unfortunately, Zoom calls can be a little bit busy. Breakout rooms are cool and everything, but they're not particularly scalable. And you've heard me say in a previous Title Tuesday, looking for scalable solutions. And we've actually have one. We've been working on it for quite a long time. And we're calling it Proctor. And it's essentially a proprietary browser, a lockdown browser, to actually play prize events. And ultimately, it's going to be the new thing where folks essentially are playing in their own kind of breakout room, if you will. You can listen to music and do other things that you wouldn't be able to do in a Zoom call while playing in Proctor. And essentially, it's a scalable solution. So all players in prize events ultimately will be using Proctor when they play in Title Tuesday, in CCT, and so on, and we'll be able to see a lot more without having to go through the typical manual processes we currently do with saying like, hey, can we see Task Manager? Hey, can we do this? Hey, can we do that? And this is just a much more seamless way to do it, and we're really excited about this because as far as the esports landscape is concerned, this is a kind of a game changer to protecting the integrity of events. We actually get to see on the back end what systems are being run and so on and so forth. So, we kind of took the, if you will, the edutesting model and ran with it in the gaming space in a way that's scalable and that we think is kind of the next step in really ensuring protection of our events.
It's exciting. We've been investing in this, as Casa said. It's a proprietary piece of software. It'll be its own browser. It's a solution that we hope is a scalable one to the problem, if you will, of making sure that we're monitoring people in real time. The algorithm and the analysts will still always be doing the heavy lifting, and no closures for people in terms of believing that they cheated will happen unless we're ready to stand by it from a data perspective. But this stuff really adds a lot of circumstantial protection, if you will, in terms of having all kinds of insight into what was running on the players' computers, what is their full field of vision. Also, I want to say, Casa, we won't do this if it doesn't work for the title players. The reason we've been working on it for months and months, and the reason it's kind of still in beta, although shout out to the team who used it on Title Tuesday. We already have some of our staff members who are title players using it. The reason is because we don't want to push this out until we're confident that we can ask everyone from the streamers to the non-streamers to anybody to use this and to say that they have to use it if they want to compete in prize events and that it doesn't cause problems for them in that experience. Yes, it will be an additional hoop, but I guess you could say that's a bit of a price to pay for the awesome ecosystem that exists for prize events for title players online. But I want to really double down on that. So with that, I'm going to tee you up. When do we expect Proctor to roll out? Because we won't do it until it's really ready. Are there top players we're going to ask to use it as part of beta testing? People will invite. What is the next steps before this comes?
Yeah, whenever you're rolling out something, you always want evangelists. And I very much have been looking to some top players to ultimately test this soon enough. It is now going to be in some beta testing. And I want to be optimistic and say it will be rolled out at some point in the fall. I'm optimistic there, but certainly this year. And it's going to be a game changer because a lot of folks tell me all the time, the breakout rooms are annoying. I have to deal with all these other players. I want music. I like to get in a different flow state when I play. And in this way, you'll be playing basically on your own, and the interactions between yourself and a proctor, a person that's actually, proctoring and within the system will be more seamless. And so we anticipate it'll just be a much cleaner experience for players. And it'll be easier on our end too, because there'll be less manually checking before games get going about what applications you have open and all these things. These are things, frankly, we will be able to see. So again, you can try to test us, but I would not recommend trying to cheat or break policy under these conditions, because the air's a little bit different out there.
Good stuff, man. All right. Well, the last thing to talk about in regards to policies and the big things that have changed, we've rolled out public closures for the first time. We're talking more about what really goes on behind the scenes in this difficult process than ever, as well as set the tone for the future of how we're going to scale real-time proctoring, real-time arbitering, I guess, for those who played in FIDE events, so that everybody feels like they are closely watched and has the faith that their opponents are also being closely watched. Last thing to talk about is what we're doing in regards to trying to get even more organized with our guidelines as it relates to rule violations. This hits on the sensitive topic of something we'll get into a little bit of the Q&A, the accusations that are being made by players against other players, whether directly or not, right? In some cases, there are particular individuals in the community who have been very aggressive and in some, maybe antagonistic in regards to their views on this stuff. Then there are times where we're dealing with things behind the scenes and we're just trying to make sure that the players are both supported and protected, but held accountable. What exactly are we trying to accomplish with this? And what is next in regards to updating the community with further and more robust, if you will, rule infraction kind of policies?
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of personal emails, frankly, from all manners of players, whether it's FMs, IMs, and really strong GMs about, hey, someone was talking about me in a public space around, saying that maybe I didn't play my games fairly, or I was cheating, or there was something sus about it. And it really hurt. It hurt because I played well. It hurt because, my reputation was called into question. And where's the framework for folks not being able to do that? Where is the framework for not being able to publicly accuse constantly? And this is something we've really been quite thoughtful about, because obviously you don't want to be in a position where you're regulating free speech in any way, but at the same time, you can't consistently impugn the integrity of someone in public spaces and that be okay. And so we're basically been working on, that dynamic about what the penalty should be. But even separately from that, there are situations where, folks are in fair play calls and, want to respect proctors that are asking them to do a room sweep or a task manager check or something along those lines. And it's just really critically important that title players and all players really are following, event guidelines, because again, we've been overemphasizing that, the stakes are higher than ever. And, we're basically doing a lot of work on our end to meet that moment. And we're having a higher expectation of players as well. So that's essentially the dynamic at play. And there'll be more on that and what that kind of rubric will look like in the coming months.
Good stuff, man. I realized the last topic I sort of blew past into discussing the future policy updates coming in regards to rules and how we're going to escalate players being warned toward ultimately maybe being suspended and even banned based on some of the things that may not be good or fair to their fellow professional. The last thing is in-person proctoring. There was a discussion yesterday that came up where people saw that there was an in-person proctor for Hans Niemann as he was competing against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. We haven't spoken about that publicly yet. I will acknowledge that was true, but I will also say there were multiple players, and there will continue to be multiple players that are proctored. It is not just Hans Niemann. Maxime himself was also under physical proctor, and there were several other matchups that were under physical proctor observation. Won't speak to him because we don't need to. We're already here, or we can mention him, but it doesn't matter. I want to let Casa talk a little bit about that because that's actually an investment we've been making, and it's a real budget. It costs money to sometimes fly an arbiter in who we trust to make sure they understand exactly what they're observing, to make sure that in addition to the 2 cameras, this isn't like a proctor shows up, Casa, and the 2 cameras, the screen share, the latency in terms of how the broadcast is on delay that people don't know. It doesn't mean that all the other things aren't happening, right? This is just an additional thing that we are doing, and that there actually is a literal budget item in our events to make sure we're investing in that level of like a personal arbiter up someone's whatever or behind someone's you know what. Go ahead.
Look, when someone is playing a prize event, they're, ultimately in really high stakes prize events, everyone is currently in a fair play call. The future will be, in short order with Proctor, you'll have everyone in a fair play call for every prize event, including Tad Tuesday. Currently, for a lot of events, there's some people, and for events like the CCT or the SEC, everyone is in a fair play call with 2 cameras. So that's one layer of security. Then we have analysts running reports and doing all these things, checking over performances, yada, yada, confirming with the algorithm. That's another layer of security. Then there is a dynamic, well, okay, maybe someone has someone in their physical environment, or there's things you can't see with the 2 cameras. And that's where in-person proctoring comes in, because what we've determined is that it's a really good way ultimately to ensure peace of mind on multiple levels. On one level, it ensures peace of mind for opponents or for people that believe this person is maybe has a history, or someone is playing well and someone really well or too well and so on. That's one layer of security. Another layer there is that it actually inoculates, and I really want people to think about this, it inoculates players that have overperformances from accusation. Because what we're able to do ultimately is I get messages behind the scenes sometimes where it's like, hey, what about this player that played really well? Or, oh, that's cheating for sure. And it's like, no, actually, you're wrong. There's someone that was physically in the space proctoring throughout the event. And then they're like, oh, I didn't know that. That changes my opinion on things. That changes my perspective. And so I think it actually also protects the player that's enjoying an overperformance from, that, unfortunately, the discourse that actually happens way too often prematurely when someone does well. And so we've done this, through the certain CCT events already. We're doing it in the SEC now. And there's probably going to be a future where there'll be more players that are being in-person proctored through events, especially during the latter stages of events. And we think this is a really, really important thing for our events as a whole, because it removes any question, any doubt of the results. And that's ultimately what all of this work is being done for.
Appreciate that. And it's a great place to bring it home, because that is what all this work is being done for. We are all on the same team about it. This is hard stuff. These are big conversations with a lot of big feelings by a lot of people with big audiences and big perspectives. I don't know how else to use the word bigly, I guess. But Casa, this was a big segment. Appreciate you breaking down every single thing that you did for us. We got into a lot of it. It'll probably be available for people to check out as its own sort of standalone VOD. And of course, there is the community Q&A ahead. There have been some questions in chat, or people who actually might have some thoughtful things that they want to poke at. We're going to dive into that ahead, so you'll want to stick around, of course, at the end of the Q&A portion. But up next, don't go anywhere, because co-founder and CEO Eric Olivest is joining us at the top of the show, along with Refund, one of our amazing engineers who works day and night on RCN. If you saw it at the top of the show, that's Real-Time Chess Network. We're going to talk about latency. We're going to talk about lag. We're going to talk about things that, as big as cheating is, probably affect more of you than anything else in terms of the investments we're making there and what really goes on with all that stuff. So don't go anywhere. The state of Chess.com continues in just a few moments.
We're here for another world premiere. This one, fencing chess with one chief chess officer to another. I'm excited about fencing chess. What about you, Danny?
I'm super excited. This is innovative and never been done before.
All right, well, you need a weapon. So there you go. We got these from Burger King. And, well, let's get going. Are you ready?
As soon as we start,
okay,
go.
I think we touch swords. Okay, here we go. All right, we are rolling. All right, it's working.
You can't. Okay, it has to be
working.
square.
Nailed it.
That was the rule.
Nailed it.
That was the rule.
Do they fence in Sicily?
Yeah.
Here we go.
There we go.
All right, this is a winning move if I can make
Okay.
it.
I don't know that this is as exciting as we thought it was.
I use the two-hand technique. They don't teach you about that on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what? This is not gonna work.
Not gonna work.
We got to call it something else.
I agree.
Oh, well, wait a minute. We just happen to have some partners in crime with USA Fencing joining us. So if one of them scores a point or a touch, then the corresponding partner gets to make a move. Capturing the king wins the game. That's it. That's all. I will let you start not the joust, the battle, the bout.
It's about. Come on, Mike. All right, Anna, you got
All
this.
right.
Let's go, Anna. Go, Anna. Go, Anna. Come on. Yes, aggressive. Okay, so Sasha scored?
No, Anna scored.
Anna scored.
Yeah, she almost
Let's
ready
go.
to show up the mat.
Okay,
It's not-
Black moves
Okay.
first in
Okay.
this game,
Yeah.
apparently. Let's go right now.
Come on, Sasha.
Oh, back to some.
That's actually my right.
Oh my God.
I'm in
I'm
the
so
game.
nervous. I don't even understand what's going on.
I thought I understood there. Oh, there's some
Okay.
poking and prodding.
Okay. I like the technique over here from Anna. I move.
Yeah.
Let's go. This is not an opening you should play, kids, but I'm all in. I'm all in.
Oh no, it's happening again. Well, Sasha, I need you, Sasha. Game
over. Over. Anna, what I'm talking about.
Okay, it's okay.
That was the easiest game of chess I've ever played in my life. That was amazing. Okay,
All right.
but we're going to do a best of threes. You don't get to
Point
hit
right.
me with the sword.
We're about to find out, honey. We just got started, so I'll let you know.
And the rebounder, Richardson. Still an opportunity with a minute to play.
First.
We are back now as we move into the technology segment, I guess if you want to call that what it is in the State of Chess show. Hope you're enjoying it. Hope you're having fun. Appreciate all the thoughtful questions. Appreciate that these are some big topics we've been getting into. And a lot of good things broken down there about fair play, and I expect a lot of great things to be broken down ahead as I am now joined by Chess.com's CEO, Eric Olives, Chess.com lead engineer when it comes to RCN stuff, Rafal Skosales. And guys, we're here to break down lag, latency, and all kinds of stuff. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Rafal, Eric's been on the show before, so let's just start with an icebreaker. Are you nervous?
Yeah, I am. But I think I'm more excited than nervous, to be honest. Like it's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I was always told the best way to get over nerves is to just say you're nervous. So that's why I gave you the chance. And I want to ask, so how long have you been at Chess.com? And how crazy is it to work for Eric? He's not listening. Just be honest. Like, tell us what's going on.
I joined Chess.com at the beginning of the last year. So I've been here for 1.5 years plus. Working with Eric is just amazing. He's got such a great product intuition and understanding of what we are doing here. So it's really great to have him here and lead us. And it's always fun to interact with him. And
this is a horrible segment. Don't do this to me. Don't do this.
Hey,
Danny started, but I can say this about everyone in Chess.
It's true.
That's
it's
why
true
you
of
didn't
everybody
ask me
here.
that question. I would have said all kinds of other things about Eric. No, it's great. It's good, but he doesn't like it. He doesn't like the compliments. So we'll move on quickly. But Rafal, I agree with you, and we're going to dive in now. So let's just do it. People want to talk about latency. Actually, well, this is a topic that comes up all the time, right? As we grow and scale the online chess community, the subject of how fast the chess games feel is probably the most important subject our members of the global chess community feel. And it's not just something that affects potential top players and the things that we want to talk about in regards to the events that were affected maybe by an issue that we tackled, but also just what we're doing to generally approach the problem and invest in it. So let's go ahead and bring up the slides and let Eric and Rafal take it away. Eric, I'm going to let you speak first to just the fundamental kind of definition of lag and latency and maybe set the tone for some of the talking points and maybe even some of the early misconceptions we want to talk about.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This is I'm a user myself. I'm a player myself. And, there is nothing more frustrating than feeling like, your game isn't connecting well or something like that. And, I had the privilege of living maybe closer to the servers than some people around the world do. But, you can feel that sometimes that, someone else maybe isn't connecting as well. And I wanted to explain just a little bit that one of the misconceptions, and understandably, is that when you connect on your phone or through your computer that you go to chess.com and then somehow your computer or your device is then connected directly to chess.com. But the way the global internet works is that, from your device to then maybe your router or your local, device, then you hop on your local ISP that you connect to. Then your local ISP connects to maybe a regional ISP. And again, we don't control any of that. Then it hops onto, these packets, these little messages that are being sent, that hops onto some more global networks. And we partner with, various providers, the top ones being Cloudflare and Google. And they then take that message all the way around the world until it lands into our data center. And then from there, it hits our kind of firewalls and all of our load balancers and stuff, and then it makes its way into our live server. But we're really only controlling, less than 1% of the distance of what's going on. And so it is sometimes frustrating to know that, a user's experience isn't what they would hope for, but also only being able to control, 1% of the experience. Now, that said, there is a lot we can do and should do and are doing to address that. And, we have had issues in the past at times with the server itself, the capacity not being able to handle things, which has nothing to do with the global internet, but is our own server's capacity. We have had bugs before. We can improve our connection logic. And there's some really exciting things that Rafal is going to share about what we're doing on a longer term, broader scale to address this more. But, it is I just wanted to explain a little bit about how the whole connection works. And, we're relying, by the time you make a move on your, device, your phone, your computer, it might go, 30 different little touch points as it makes its way, over to our servers. And all of that added up is what can be called lag or latency. But the good news is, that doesn't have to mean that, someone who has, say, 100 milliseconds of latency and someone else who has, 500 milliseconds of latency, that doesn't mean that the 500 millisecond person loses half a second every move. Because there is logic in the clocks and the servers where, in order to, there's lag forgiveness, as it's called. And so we give up to half a second and sometimes more, depending on, how the network is behaving, that, that is then added back to the clock. Well, that also creates some confusion sometimes because people are saying, oh, well, the clock moved or their clock went up or the clock it was frozen. Well, that's because we're dealing with like 3 different things here. There's your device and what you're seeing. There's a server. And then there's what they're seeing in the other person's device. And by the time you're going back and forth between these, there's a lot of compensation that's happening in there to try to address, what the different clock situations are, what the travel time is. And it's all very complicated to deal with, but we always try to optimize this to be the most, the most beneficial, the most forgiving of the internet situations and the latency that different people are experiencing. Sorry for the complicated explanation, but I wanted to be thorough.
I think it's important to lay the foundation of how complicated it is, and I think it sets up Rafal's, what Rafal's investing in and what we're trying to accomplish with the Real-Time Chess Network well, right? And so, Rafal, I've still got this sort of awesome pipeline image that we built here, which I think is actually, really fun. But I'm gonna let you talk a little bit about maybe building on the difficulties of scaling all of the different sources, as Eric was talking about, but really what it is we think will be better with RCN and why we're investing that as part of the future.
Yeah, so basically, Eric already touched this a little bit. The thing with online chess, the way it's unique among other online games, is that the lag that you experience, it's not just about your connection. It's about your connection and your opponent connection. When you think about other online games, like imagine any online game that you like. If you have poor connection, it means that you will experience like image staggering, your moves being executed with a delay. If it's a shooter, you will miss your opponent. If it's RTS, you will misplace your units. If your opponent has lagged, what you will see is that your opponent is not reacting to your moves, to your actions. He's kind of slow with reacting. And the reason is because those two clients, your client, your opponent client, they're interacting with the server separately. So they do think, they send it to the server updates the state, it goes back to them, and they can react again. So it's like they're reacting on their own, opponents reacting on their own. In online chess, it's different. For you to react to state update, you need your opponent to make a move. So you need to send a move to the server needs to relay it to your opponent needs to make a move, send it to the server needs to relay it to you, then you can react. So this feedback loop, it's not just you and server, it's you server, opponent, server, you. So basically it's a different nature of online game than anything other that we experience when we think about online gaming. And what we do here to make sure that the games are fair, we do the slack compensation, and the next step is bringing servers closer to you, because there's speed of light. That is the main limitation that we are dealing with here. And what we love about chess at Chess.com is that you can play with anyone anywhere in the world. So if you have a friend that's 10,000 kilometers away, you can play with them. You can be matched in the open seek with this person. And we don't want to have the situation where they lose time on their clock just because they are far away from the server. It doesn't need to mean that they've got poor connection or whatever. No, the connection can be just perfect. But the distance from them to the server is so big that their game is not fair anymore. And this is what RCN is addressing. We will not have just one server. Yeah.
No, finish your point, because I think what you're hitting on is really the key thing that the community would really appreciate. I think what you just said really makes a lot of sense. So go ahead.
Yeah. So what we are doing with RCN is we are scaling, actually distributing. It's more about distributing our server network. So from going from one server that's in US East, we are going to servers that are on almost all the continents. And depending on where are the players located, we will pick the server that's midway for both of them. So both have a chance to have their lag compensated, instead of one having all the lag compensated, which is basically none, and the other, well, losing time on the clock because the lag is too big, the distance to the server is too big, speed of light is just too small. So this is what we are doing with RCN. I love this slide, the one with the map. You can see here where we started this journey. So since the beginning of Chess.com online gameplay, we had this single server. You can see us, this gray, beautiful block in the US East. And you can also see on this slide 2 additional servers with green color. One is in Netherlands, another one is in India. These are live servers. We are playing games on them right now. And basically the user experience on them is uncomparable to what those users had before. Their lag can be fully compensated. And we will continue with this journey. The blue blocks show what are our potential other server deployments. You can see that they're almost on all the continents. And yeah, we will just continue on this journey with improving our server selection algorithm and deployments of those servers. And we also need to scale all other things in our engineering orchestration of this stuff so we can maintain it and oversee what's happening, because we don't look at one server now. We will be looking at multiple servers and follow everything that's going on there.
I think one important part of that is so makes this challenging but also exciting is that it is so important for us that we don't fracture the player base. This is a global chess community. This is a global game. And so when you say, oh, I want to play a 10-minute game, and someone else says, I want to play a 10-minute game, in a lot of other games, it's like, well, choose your server. Where do you want to play? And you're like, well, I guess I'll play on the closest one to me. And then you can't have friends or players over there. But with this solution that we're doing, you can get matched at a centralized matcher, and then the centralized matcher will say, okay, what's this person's, connection to these servers, and what's this person's latency to these servers? Let's pick the one that's the most fair between these two players, and we'll create the match there. So they're having a very similar experience. So that was a high bar for us to hit, but it's so critical for the chess community.
It's amazing, and I think really well explained. I want to go back to the thing I almost interrupted Rafal on, and I apologize for that, because I think what you touched on in regards to how people feel, like how does this actually feel to the community, to the person playing chess, regardless of who they are, top grandmaster or beginner player, when they might have a great connection and they're looking at their phone and they see like 4 bars, right? Or they know that they're hardwired and Wi-Fi is strong, but that the latency and what's happening because of the time, it literally, even if it's milliseconds, it's still extra time it takes to get to a server that was not positioned potentially as effectively on a global level as it will be in the future. And I wanted to go back to you on that, Rafal, because I think like that's one of the things. And then we're going to talk about, the bugs that happen. And as Eric already touched on, what appears to be, inaccurate when someone's clock runs down and more time is added than you think should be. It really all comes down to that it may not even be about the person's actual internet strength. It might still be that they're playing on a server that's farther from them than their opponent, and they're on different. So talk a little bit about like that one more time, if you would, Rafal.
Yeah, sure. So, it doesn't necessarily need to, like when you experience those clock jumps, it doesn't necessarily need to mean that there's something wrong with your connection. It can be your opponent's connection or not their connection. The connection can be perfect. They are just far away from the server. You can even look at their flag and say, oh, I can see that he's from the same country. Well, you don't know his actual location. He could be using VPN that's making this trip longer, or the person is traveling and is just on a different part of the planet. So
we get stuck in a little bit of a rock and a hard place here where people are like, oh, it's not fair because of the distance of the server and it makes it slower. And, or I live in a place where my internet connection sometimes isn't as strong or as fast. It's not fair that, someone else who lives near the server or whatever, like that's not fair. They're getting more time. And that's true. But then we also get the problems and the criticism of like, well, the clocks are moving, and they're like, well, I saw their clock count down, but then they had more, the time got added back. And so we're really caught in between, like, well, it's kind of a lose-lose. Either you just like say, hey, the client time, that's your responsibility. Or we say, you got to deal with, clocks having adjustments at times. And so it's a really delicate dance in between there. And we've tried different things where we kind of like, so let's say that you spent 400 milliseconds for your travel time because your speed of light can't get your move to the server fast enough. Well, now we have to deal with that. Like, because we're not going to count that against you. It's not fair. So we try to, how are we going to make up for those 400 milliseconds? But your opponent, once they moved, your clock has already been started. So they saw their move hit 400 milliseconds before you saw their move hit. Actually, more than that because of their travel time. It could be 600 milliseconds between the time they move and you see it. Well, what do we do with that 600 milliseconds? That's more than half a second. So do we pause people's clocks and then wait? Or do we count down and add back? And we've tried different mixtures of these different things and these different approaches. And, if we kind of do the pause approach, then people are like, oh, I made the move, but their clock isn't counting down. That's not fair. Yeah. Or if we do the add back, it's like, oh, well, their clock counted down, but then you add it back. That's not fair. And really, that time changing is because it is fair. It's the most fair thing we can do is to add back and do that to compensate for what's going on. So anyway, I just wanted to explain that just a little bit, that, it's a delicate dance, and we understand the frustrations and the feelings, but that's the reason why the clock is moving. It's because people live different distances. Now, we hope that the new real-time chess network, the RCN, as we call it internally, will address a lot of this. So people have kind of the same numbers and they're having lower latency as they get closer. But we also want to caveat, while these are live servers now and we're spreading out more, currently, only a little over 50% of games are being played right now on RCN. That's because we started kind of at the lowest ratings and move on up. You can't take a percentage of traffic or you split the pool of players and you have longer wait times. So we kind of, we started at the lowest rated players and we're just slowly moving up as we're adding them into the real-time chess network. So if you're someone rated under 1,000 in India and you notice that over the last, year, your connection to Chess.com got better, that's probably why. And so now these changes haven't yet hit titled players and events because that's at the highest level, the most complicated. And we've been building out features and testing and just making sure everything's been going well. So, we have a roadmap of how that gets to 100% and how it gets to fully global. But we're doing it very carefully.
It makes sense. It's helpful. Obviously, I've had this sort of performance image up for everyone as Eric's been talking to sort of highlight what the average ping time is in milliseconds, not on RCN versus where we're going. And as Eric just described, it doesn't mean that all games are on RCN yet. So I think, I think back to the old days of internet chess in the beginning. I remember the times when the clocks were paused, right? And what that felt like on the other side, right? You're like, wait, what? I made my move. What's happening there? And it was like that early days of Chess.com. I remember ICC, and then I remember, obviously, like Eric talked about, the decision for it to feel instantaneous, but ultimately for lag forgiveness to be built into the algorithm. But I'm really glad you addressed that, because one, you jogged my memory. I forgot that that's how it used to be. The clocks would pause like that. But two, I think that that's a super important thing for people to understand, that what Eric said is true, that this is the most fair way to do it, especially as we invest in the technology to try to make it as instantaneous as possible. But on that note, I want to talk about the high profile moments that you were sort of referencing, right? In terms of what happened, because there is also something that happened over the last couple months where something did go wrong and there was a bug. And I want to tee you up, Eric, first to talk about that, as far as what happened with this bug that affected not just the play in the Kronvik Jospa match, but in the Bullet Chess Championship. Why was that so hard for us to diagnose and resolve? And where are we at going forward with that?
Yeah, so this is I appreciate the question, and it also brings back some real hardship here.
I told you I was going to ask it. I told you I was
I
going to ask it.
I knew you were going to. It's just I'm reliving the trauma of some of this. Again, so you're on your device, whether your phone or your computer, and there's either some JavaScript or some app code on your phone that handles a chessboard and establishes a connection. And then it sends it over the pipes and it gets to the server. And then there's different things that happen there. Like there's an acknowledgement that the server sends to the client that says, oh, we got your move. It's all good. And then, moves get sent from the server back to the client. And those say like, hey, did you get the move? And you're like, yep, I got the move. So there's all sorts of like, in networking language, handshakes and heartbeats and signals. And there's all these different things. Now, that connection code that carries the messages, that queues them into the server, that then sends and acknowledges and does all of those different things. That is not code that we ourselves write. That is code from an open source and vendor that we use that writes and maintains this amazing library of code that allows us to do all of these things. Now, a couple years ago, we started to see these little weird things because we have our use case of this technology is very different from a lot of people. We're massive, our scale and the types of connections. And we found this little weird thing that was happening very infrequently. And we told them about it. We submitted, hey, we're seeing this. And there was some discussion, and then it went dormant, and we saw it a little bit more, and then we said it. Anyway, so we were trying to report on this and do this, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. And every once in a while, and then we had some of those moments where someone literally, their opponent would make a move, and then their clock would keep running, and they would never have received the move, even though the server sent it. And that they're like, I never got the move. And we're like, but that's weird. Was it a glitch? Was it lag? Did it get lost in the internet? And so we were trying to figure it out. And then as we dug in, we noticed that those games where that happened were higher profile games than not. And we're like, well, that's very weird.
This is where it gets fun. I think this is where the mystery gets fun as far as why it was so hard to find the bug. Keep going. I know the ending of this
story.
Fun
for you, and yes, fun that it's resolved. And Rafal, I don't know how much he slept during some of these moments, but it probably wasn't a lot.
So, let me continue. I'm sorry, I'm Tarantinoing this. You guys are going to love the punchline here, chat. So this is code that wasn't necessarily our code, but still our responsibility. We're not deflecting, but it was very hard to replicate, right, and to isolate because it seemed to only occur in the most high-profile moments, which of course was a double black eye because it looks like we're not getting it, and it only is affecting things that really matter. But this is where it gets interesting as far as how we figure that out. So who takes that one? You or Rafal?
Thank you, Quentin. Appreciate that. Well, yeah, Rafal, why don't you tell them what you first initially thought was going on and what you saw and how you investigated?
Oh man, yeah, that was crazy time. So when we first started, the first Fury was just about the players getting too many challenges and something breaking in this connection. It wasn't that. It was just red herring, something that completely took us off track. But yeah, as we continued watching some high-profile games and getting reports for top GMs, we noticed that there is some pattern. And the pattern was that the games had to be public, could be watched from our play watch functionality. And it had to be between top players who have lots of people observing them. And as we were digging through the logs, we found that every now and then in those games, this protocol that you mentioned, the third-party protocol responsible for sending moves, the way it works, it would try to send a move from one player to the other player and also to all the clients that are observing the game. And if one of those clients was some old Android app of ours, exception would happen in some like teeny tiny chances. And only in those scenarios, the move would not be transferred further to the remaining observers and the player that was waiting for the move delivered. It was just completely crazy. And to reproduce it, I don't know how we do it. Like we were so lucky with the observability that we had that allowed us to find that this was with those specific clients observing those games. Because imagine reproducing this with an app that was used I don't know, a year, 2 years ago, and only when lots of those were observing, because the chances were still very small for this exception to happen in this move delivery. So it was crazy.
Let me go one step further and say the reason that this happened is just fascinating and kind of explains the challenges of working in technology, which is, this third-party library that we're using, they're constantly evolving and improving their code. And then, and it's written in Java, and then different versions of Java come out. You have Java 5, now it's 6, now it's 7. Now, I don't remember what exact version they're on now, but, you go and then they're like, well, there's this new part of Java code, which is really good and allows us to do this new thing. And so they write that code in the new Java, but then that means that the old Java doesn't, can't process what it needs to do. And so the older devices, which are running only the older Java and can't be upgraded to the newer Java, aren't compatible with this. So it's this very complicated series all the time of like outdated clients and new programming languages, and then the interactions between people who have new and old. And anyway, these are the things this is why my hairline is all, going back up as far as it is. And these are the challenges that we deal with when you have millions of people playing every day from, thousands of types of devices with different ages and different things. And, it's both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. And, we want to apologize to everybody who was impacted by that bug. It has been patched for some time now. And, we recognize the frustration that it comes as a player, the frustration is as a viewer, the event integrity, all the different things. That was a really hard time for us. We appreciate, having a chance to explain what happened there. And, we owe it to the best of the community. As Costa said earlier in the show, online chess means more than it ever did. And that means a higher bar of what is expected of us to deliver on these things, not only from a fair play point of view, but from a quality of experience point of view. And there's just like a massive investment constantly going on for us to do the best we can there. And we're not perfect. And we recognize that and we apologize.
Love it. I think this is, I hope this is what the people wanted. And I just want to summarize again the punchline, since I interrupted with a Tarantino. It was figuring out that in those really rare high profile moments with lots of observers, we're not even talking about people watching the shows or the commentary. We're saying a ton of observers in the live chess server who are not, it's not just about sending the move to the opponent that was causing it. It was in high profile games where it was also sending that move to hundreds of other clients. And so I just found that to be a fascinating and almost sad sort of tragic ending in terms of why this bug occurred, because someone dug up a thread on Reddit from 2 years ago where it happened to me, right, on camera, and we almost haven't replicated it since then. It was hilarious. So I knew it happened. It was almost impossible to replicate, and in the times it did, it always felt horrible for our team. I'm just sharing with you all internally, like Rafal was like a freaking superhero, and every other person who absolutely worked tirelessly to figure this out, it was crazy. And it wasn't because of the excuses even that it was a third-party software we're doing. That is true, and it was an excuse partly, but also it was because it was affecting the moments that the community held most dear, which were like, how could you have this bug affect this high profile match or the Bullet Chess Championship? And so I guess I'm just rambling to say again, thank you to Rafal and the entire engineering team. Like, I'm not kidding. It was incredible to see what happened in terms of the investigation in real time. And then when the truth was revealed and the sad thing broke our heart that like, oh my God, it was because of this, so many observers, it made sense in terms of why it was so hard to deal with. So that's it. I just want to say that. And thank you, Rafal. Thank you to the whole engineering team. You guys are absolute freaking stars. And I'm so glad to have come where we've come. And this segment was great. I can't wait for the RCN to continue to be played in more games than just 52%. So thank you, and to everyone who's working on it. Hopefully some of them are watching, not just Rafal here. Thank you, crew, and Eric, I love you. I'll talk to you later. This is about Rafal. This isn't about you. This isn't about you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right. Love you guys. Thank you so much. We're going to be right back, everybody. Don't go anywhere. Alex Lebo joining us, our VP of content, recently came over from Snapchat. So many exciting things going on in the world of chess, the stories, the controversies, and all the projects, and the media eyeballs are bigger than ever. We're going to let you guys know some of the things you don't know that are happening there. I can't wait to dive into that at the other side of this break.
This summer, Paris, France is set to hold the greatest sports spectacle the world has ever seen. And no, I'm not talking about the Olympics, though that's pretty cool too, I guess. It's the 2024 Speed Chess Championship. In the 2024 Speed Chess Championship, 16 of the world's greatest speed chess superstars take up the gauntlet. Only 4 will make it to Paris. For the first time ever, few are invited into the battleground. Book your ticket now for arena-side viewing, live commentary, immersive pop-up booths, and more. Level up your ticket to gold, platinum, or diamond to unlock special event gift boxes, a VIP lounge, and player meet and greets. Hurry before the clock runs out.
Por fin. Ya estoy con la bandera de México desde hace ya algunos meses. Cuando juegue, el siguiente torneo va a ser por México. Sí.
Okay. La victoria.
Se pueden plantear muchas teorías de por qué la gente me acusa a mí de trampas, ¿no? Principalmente porque Chess.com hizo una lista de los que más habían ganado premios y los que más habían tenido un buen top 5 durante todo el 2023, incluso 2022. Y yo creo que aparezco después de Magnus y Hikaru, de los que más ha cobrado en los Title Tuesdays. Y yo creo que la gente juzga mucho por lo primero que ve, ¿no? Pero no juzga que pues uno juega 100 Title Tuesday mientras que la mayoría juega 40, 30, 50 porque anda haciendo otras cosas, o en torneos presenciales, yo qué sé. Tendré pues 20, 30 partidas bien jugadas, perfectas, que tú dices, este güey juega como 2800 FIDE. Pero pues, o sea, es porque muchas veces estoy jugando mi terreno. Partidas donde yo sé qué va a pasar, y tengo estudiado, juego 1000 veces una misma posición y ya las 20 primeras jugadas van a ser las primeras del módulo porque ya las he analizado, sé por dónde va, sé por dónde no va. Y pues tengo un estilo de juego donde te agarro y te remato bien. O sea, mi estilo de juego es que tengo una ventaja y muchas veces remato casi a la perfección, ¿no? Pero tengo otras falencias en mi juego que algunos jugadores ya se dan cuenta dónde fallo, ¿no? Jugadores que ya juegan mucho conmigo, me juegan de tal forma que no les puedo ganar casi porque ya se están dando cuenta de en dónde fallo, ¿no? Básicamente si haces trampas ahí, pues lo haces por ganar un premio, ¿no? No lo haces por querer ganar a alguien, sería creo que lo más tonto del mundo, ¿no? Yo juego todos los Tatel Tuesday. He visto poquísimos casos de gente que en el papel no debería cobrar y cobra. O sea, la gente que veo que cobra casi siempre es porque pues, ya tiene un nivel o antes o después o lleva años practicando como yo. Entonces, yo creo que no debería pasar del 5%.
Check it out.
Right.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I almost said welcome, and then I said welcome back, so it almost went welcome whack, which would have been amazing. Welcome whack, everybody. You know, new catchphrase, new way to kick off things for the state of chess.com when we come back from a break. Hope everybody is having a good time. Hope that chat is enjoying the show, and for those of you sticking around to hopefully get some of your questions answered, we appreciate that you're tuning in. If someone is watching this from the future, hello, how are you? And you're watching it on some sort of video on demand elsewhere after the live broadcast. But the show rolls on right now, and as promised, we are joined by someone who is working on all of our chess shows. I guess that's one way we could describe the job when we say welcoming in our vice president of content, Alex Lebo. What exactly is it that you do here, Bob? Like, what actually is it that you do?
Make great content, you know, help the team tell amazing stories, and yeah, just get everything out into the world, you know?
All right. Well, I love it. And where actually are you right now? Now that you've said what you do, where are you in the world? We know you live in the greater LA area. I won't say anything more than that, but where are you at right now?
Yep. Viewers may recognize the background. They may not, but I am in Malibu right now at Chess Camp, and I actually have a very special guest right next to me who's going to pop in and say hello.
Hello.
Okay. And I'm even going to give Anna my headphones because I feel like she's a way better guest than me. So I'm gonna let her chat for a second because she can't hear you right now.
You're great.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
It would be one of those funny. We'll wait for her to get her headphones. Hey, Anna.
Hello, Danny. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We're doing the state of chess.com. It's been big topics today on cheating and fair play and all kinds of tech stuff. So now we get to have fun and say, hey, how's the Botez Chess Camp gone for you so far?
It has been so much fun. Like, I never thought I'd play chess in a mansion in Malibu ever in my life, but that's what we've been doing, and it's been amazing. The tournament also went pretty well for me. I ended up tied third, so it's overall just been a super good experience, and it's been so much fun to play against all these girls as well.
It's awesome. I'm glad we get to talk. And Alex got up and gave you the headphones. I thought we were going to do like the FaceTime thing where you're saying hi to someone, but you can't hear and they can't hear you. So this is really great. Tell me
Was this
more
a surprise
about...
for you, Danny? Were you expecting me to show up?
I was not expecting you to show up, but I knew Alex was doing content on site. And so what content have you done today, or is there other things going on that you can share that are, I mean, we know that the event has happened and it's now over, but obviously all the ladies there, are doing all kinds of stuff. So tell us just about the environment, the fun, and maybe a little bit about how it came together and what you're still doing.
Well, overall, we've been doing a lot of chess content, of course, every day. We've been playing the games, but we've also been recording a lot of behind the scenes content. So, a lot of post game interviews that have been taken right after the game where you can really see how the players are feeling. I think that we're going to be making some big YouTube videos out of this whole experience. So we've basically been recording 24/7. We also did some other videos. I was part of a Truth or Drink, which I never thought I was ever going to be part of, but we recorded that, which was pretty fun. And now I think I can spoil it, right? What they're doing upstairs. Okay, I can spoil it. So they're all doing some lie detector tests right now, which is going to be so cool. I'm listening right now and it's looking pretty intense. So I think those videos are going to turn out amazing. So we're overall just going to film some more videos today all together. This has been a great experience to get a bunch of chess streamers together and do both chess content, but also other kinds of content, and just film like 24/7 for 10 days in a row. So that's what we've been doing. I'm very excited to see what comes out of this.
Is that exhausting, or does it make you want to do more of it? Because talking to Alexandra about this idea for a while, just to give a little behind the scenes in terms of how it came together, it was sort of like real world meets like a chess tournament meets streamers, but it sounds exhausting to be doing that much content. But does it make you want to do this more in terms of bringing a bunch of creators and their fan bases together to do this, or is it like a hey, maybe this is too much for too much star power under one roof?
I am super motivated to do this again. I think this has been a super cool experience, and I've honestly been enjoying the whole thing. I've been enjoying the classical chess. I've been enjoying all the content, and I could stay here for 5 more days if I had to. I think it's been really fun. So I really hope we get to do something like this again. It could be in a different location. It could be, new people, whatever. But I think that just putting a bunch of streamers together and creating content and content around chess together is just such an amazing thing. And I think it's turned out really great. So I'm super motivated to do this again.
We've talked for a while now internally about doing an IRL Titled Tuesday. You play in a lot of Titled Tuesdays, but even an IRL like Streamers Championship, like would that be a thing more than obviously the ladies there, but everybody? Is that like that you'd be into that?
Yes, bring that to the table, Danny. I am so down. I would absolutely join that. That sounds amazing. I honestly, personally love playing over the board chess. I think it's so much fun when you're, in person playing chess. So sign me up for anything like that. I would love it.
I love it. Okay, well, there you go. It's all right. Adds note to self next year. Okay, there we go. But last thing, so you're an expert in lie detector chess. I think people now know you did one with Anna Rudolph in Norway. It hasn't come out yet. So
No.
Are you allowed to tease any more about the tougher questions, or who's lying more upstairs right now, Andrea or Alexandra?
Let me just say this. I think Alex and Dina are having some pretty intense conversations upstairs.
Okay.
And I will not really get any more into that, but it's to the point where we've all been like, ooh, this is gonna be very spicy. So yeah, no, it's gonna turn out great.
Wow.
I would love to do this again. Like, I almost want to go upstairs and be part of this lie detector test again because I thought it was so much fun to do it. So yeah, great content will be happening. But Danny, thank you so much for having me. I'm gonna have Alex come back here. I don't want to steal too much of your show.
No, appreciate it. I was just about to say the same thing to let you get back to it. So thanks for popping in, Anna. Awesome stuff, and we'll talk later.
Thank you. Bye.
Right. Bye. All right. There we go. More lie detector content coming. I think everybody loves the lie detector content, honestly. The lie detector series has been a big hit. And now that we've got Alex back, we'll queue up like what have been some of our goals as we've talked about it. Speaking for yourself, you've joined us from Snapchat. It's been about 6 months now, right? Something like that.
It's been about 9 or 10 months, but
dude, I'm old and forgetful.
Feels like 6 is good. That's good, right?
Okay. I think but what have been some of the goals, right? We want to do things differently. We want to tell more stories, and if you're comfortable doing it, toot your own horn a little bit about how Lie Detector came together and some of the other docu-series and stuff we're doing.
Yeah, listen, I think we're trying to reach as broad of an audience as possible and get people into the top of funnel of chess, right? We are in a really beneficial position where if someone wants to play chess and they have that desire, they're probably going to find Chess.com. And so our real goal is to just make really amazing chess content, whether it's on, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Fast, AVOD, etc., and get in front of new audiences, get them interested in the game. And, one key, I'd say, priority over the last 8 or 9 months has been in a lot of player-focused storytelling, right? If you look at the high-level side of the sport, in order to really be invested in those events, you have to be invested in the players. And, we're kind of the mindset that let's make some content with them that's going to show them in a different light, bring out their personalities, let you get to know them. And, what's a format that we can do that is also, traditionally really engaging on social or YouTube. And, for example, we know that lie detector content works really well, and it's been a really, strong performing format over time. So sort of married that with our top GMs and creators. And, it's been a huge hit and people have really loved it. And we're looking to come up with many more formats just like that. So that's a little bit about it.
It has been a huge hit. It's been nerve-wracking. Well, I'll say it's also been nerve-wracking to be a part of a couple lie detector videos, but it's pretty fun. I get nervous not because I'm going to lie, but because I'm curious what I don't even know the answer to the question. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. We'll see what it is, right? And then you end up being sort of told, like, actually, no, that's not how you feel about that. And you go, oh my gosh. So lie detector stuff is crazy. But you mentioned the docu-series and you mentioned getting people interested or helping them get to know top players better. You and the team brought the first Jose Alcantara Martinez Jospum series to the world. And there's a second one coming that's going to be premiering here pretty soon. I understand we might have a teaser video to get people pumped for part 2 of this incredible story.
You have two guys who are kind of at very different stages of their career. They're colliding because one of them essentially thinks the other guy is suspicious.
I just don't trust him. Sorry. Because this cannot be an accident. When you gain time, it's not accident, obviously.
Viendo la polémica que había surgido entre Kramnik y José Martínez y que todo el mundo estaba opinando, decidí poner un tweet en mis redes sociales y qué pasa si les enfrentamos, les ponemos uno delante de otro y les enfrentamos.
Lo único que digo es que estoy cansado, quiero disfrutar España y nada más.
That they target you?
Yeah, I think. It never happened to me. I played several thousand games. Never, ever.
Torre F3 la ataca. Caballo 3.
This is a must win game for Jose.
Do you prefer finish today the match or continue tomorrow?
As someone who's seen it, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Honestly, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, I don't even know what's going to happen next. It was incredible. And what other documentaries are we working on, and what can you tell us?
Yeah, so excited about this one. It's been such a interesting story, and have loved building the relationship with Jospum to really let us immerse into his world and let us follow him and tell it. Up next, something that we're working on as well that we filmed at Norway Chess and also in the months leading up to it is a doc on the Guinness World Record that Askid and Udin attempted and achieved for the longest chess marathon, where they played for 60 plus hours straight with, I think they took like a 20-minute power nap or something at one point, but we're playing for days on end, Blitz chess, and we've been filming them the entire time and recorded the whole actual attempt. They're very good friends with Magnus, so he stopped by a bunch and sort of appears throughout the doc. And yeah, we're really excited to dig in there and find a great distribution home for it as well.
I love that. I want to get into a couple of the other big teases we want to make with some stuff coming, but a question I saw in chat moments ago, I want to dive into this difficult topic, and that's what the show's all about: difficult topics, transparency. I think some people watching the Jospum documentary, the first one, and then the second one, might have some questions in regards to how Chess.com approached that whole thing, knowing that we have a fair play department that works super hard on catching cheaters and never assumes that anyone, from Magnus Carlsen to Jose Martinez to Hans Niemann to the regular amateur is playing chess cleanly. That is their job, and they are not interested necessarily in the stories behind it, because that's not what they're there to do. Then you have the content team thinking and honestly just observing what's happening in the chess world and seeing this stuff go crazy on Twitter and accusations from Kramnik and all this stuff. And they are then pursuing these stories and sort of empowered to find out the truth, not really knowing whether Chess.com might actually close someone for cheating, right? Like, how has that been for you? I'm asking you to just be real about how you've observed that coming over from Snapchat, how we've sort of maintained those lines, and what you've seen as far as allowing you to pursue stories with journalistic integrity, knowing that you actually don't know what might happen with someone in terms of whether they'll be closed for cheating or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been very liberating to sort of have the freedom to tell the stories that we want, right? There's a real separation of church and state, I would say, with fair play and what we do on content. And, you know, we like you said, we're dialed into the community. We know what's popping off, and we want to chase the stories that are most interesting. And obviously we were seeing that there were lots of claims and accusations against Jospin. And to me, that is a really compelling story. And so, you know, for the first part, we went down and filmed with him and watched him while he played Title Tuesday and ended up performing really well. But obviously, you know, we didn't know that at the time. We didn't know if he was going to overperform, underperform, et cetera. And we weren't going to, you know, tell the story through a specific lens either way. We were going to tell what actually happened. And that's kind of what we've done on both of these. And yeah, I've really appreciated sort of the freedom that the team has allowed us to sort of operate independently in that way. And, you know, even if we wanted information on the fair play side, things are so locked down there that we don't even really know what's going on there. We're just following the stories in our lane.
I wish Sam, your partner in crime in many ways, Sam Copeland, National Master, a lot of people in the chess community know him, was here to just validate that I recently kicked him out of a sensitive fair play room that he shouldn't have been added to. I said, "What are you doing in here? Get out." I guess from that perspective, you know, I'm in the different rooms, but really the content team is empowered and crushing and doing this stuff without really following these sensitive combos. Anyway, the team was there when Jospin had that incredible Title Tuesday performance, which was crazy that happened in real time, right? I mean, what was that like?
Yeah, well, one of my colleagues was there on the ground, Chandler, and you know, I think it was really exciting because at first, you know, if you remember, I can't remember the exact round, but Jospin at one point took an L or maybe two, and he was really kind of pissed, like he wasn't performing, you know, in his mind up to standard yet. And then all of a sudden he went on this huge winning streak. So it was kind of this great emotional shift of like, oh man, it wasn't looking so good. And then he all of a sudden dominated all the rest of the rounds. And so, yeah, it was really cool to see it happen, you know, in real time. And I remember actually, you mentioned Sam had the great idea to sort of, you know, tweet out like, "Hey, congratulations to Jospin! Like you performed incredibly with our team watching you on site." And that tweet ended up, you know, I think sparking a lot of the fallout as it relates to, you know, Clash of Claims getting organized. Right, it sparked the conversation, and then all of a sudden in the chat of Twitter, all of a sudden everyone was, you know, making that event happen, and we just jumped on that too.
It was awesome. Well, there's a lot of awesome things ahead. This has been great. I hope that the fans in chat are enjoying this content. And probably you are, because you're here. There's some other content coming up that we think people are going to enjoy. A big part of our goals is not just to serve the chess community with these amazing stories about the figures and the heroes they already know and love, or maybe hate. We're covering these stories, right? But then there's also reaching new fans, as you said at the top of the segment when you joined, Alex, growing the game, helping other people get exposed to chess in a way that's maybe feels more accessible, more fun, different than maybe they thought. There's a couple of big things we're going to tease. One of them is an announcement I'm going to let you make that's coming up. And then another thing we're going to talk about that we can tease and figure out what we are allowed to say at this time with that project. But let everybody know what they should be doing and how exciting it is. This is the first time chess will be aired on ESPN. Go for it.
Yeah, so this Saturday, August 3rd at 6:30 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2, you'll be able to watch the Speed Chess Championship 2022 final between Hikaru and Magnus. It's an amazing special that was produced that sort of retells the story and showcases the top highlights from that incredible match. And it's part of ESPN, the Ocho programming, which is incredible. So it'll premiere on ESPN2 this weekend, and then presumably will run on ESPN 8 the Ocho for some time after.
Yeah, I was going to say, it won't just premiere on ESPN2 this weekend. It'll probably be something that, for those who do watch ESPN the Ocho and some of those more niche sports, you'll continue to see it play. But it's not just a replay of the match. It's actually sort of an original, doc version of the match that you and the team worked on, right?
That is correct. Yeah, we have incredible insight provided by a number of great chess experts, yourself included, on camera, sort of retelling the stakes and the storylines. And so, I'm really excited for some of the non-core chess audience to just stumble upon it this weekend and really enjoy it. And obviously, we encourage everyone in the chess community to go check it out too and tell us what you think.
You can probably watch it on the internet if you have YouTube TV, Master Chef Zod. Is that the internet? I don't know. I don't know. No, but it will be on linear. This is on mainstream TV. So the doc itself is exclusive to ESPN. So the original takes that the commentators provide, that Alex said, as well as the breakdowns of the most amazing moments to kind of get it in rather than the full 3.5 hour match for those who watched that thing live in 2022, like myself. It's a pretty awesome condensed version. A great way to tell the full story and set the stakes. But no, you cannot see it online. That was part of the agreement with ESPN. That's right? We don't get to share it online. It belongs to them.
It belongs to them. Whether they put it online or not, we'll have to find that out.
Okay. I learned that in real time. So, all right. Well, how do we tease the last thing that we're working on without saying too much or getting out over our skis? What do we do with this?
I'm happy to take a stab at it if you like.
You do it.
Yeah, sure thing. Well, listen, I think hopefully we made it clear here, but this will make it even more clear. We're going all in on storytelling this year. And, I think we all saw what a show like The Queen's Gambit did for chess a few years ago. And we think it's time for the next big wave, right? Whether it's shows like Drive to Survive, Full Swing, Welcome to Wrexham, Cheer, etc. We've watched all of these incredible sports documentary series sort of take off in the zeitgeist, and we really believe that the chess world should get the same treatment. So I'll leave it at that, but big things to come, and really, really excited for the next couple of months of shooting some really interesting content.
Some of the top players and personalities in the chess world are already kind of aware of this because some of these crews have been on site at some of these big events that have happened over the last few months. So, but yeah, it's we don't want to steal any thunder or undermine any of the splash that will be made with that. But many people have followed what's been happening with other stuff. You see a Ben Mesrick announcement with A24 and maybe a movie being made about a certain controversy that happened. But that's really, it may end up being just the tip of the iceberg in terms of some of the exciting stuff ahead for the chess community. And exactly that, Beta Wolfie, exactly that. So, Alex, you're awesome. I like you. I think you're cool. I think you should get out of here. And I think we'll get to Q&A.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Alex Levo's going to get back to the Botez Chess Camp. I'm going to take a very quick break and then come back and dive into the community questions. The fun stuff is ahead. Don't go anywhere. The final moments of the stateofchess.com when we return.
Looking for some cool merch or a gift for that person who loves chess? We've got you covered in our all-new merch store, literally from head to toe. Whether it's a hot date or just hanging out, it's always chess time somewhere. Just ask Mittens. Okay, well, Mittens is just a stuffed toy, so maybe don't ask Mittens. But you can check it all out at chess.com/shop right now.
Introducing Chess Events by Chess.com, the brand new app that helps you stay up to date with the latest tournaments and results of the most important games. Get breaking news, tournament updates, live stream coverage, results of your favorite players, or a specific matchup you're excited for. Never again miss a tournament's final outcome, a critical moment, or news recaps by the world's top chess journalists. Chess Events makes it easier than ever to bring the chess world to you. Download the app today.
My king is a little open, and I need to develop my pieces. How about pawn to a3 with the idea of pawn to b4 and then bishop b2, pressuring the e5 pawn? Hey, I need your help with this position.
Yeah, for sure. It's knight d5.
You think so?
Yeah, you either get a beautiful knight on d5 or black captures and gives you a strong pass pawn.
No way, the little guy will never survive without active pieces protecting him.
I'm just saying, I win positions like this all the time.
Hey, coach, we need your help.
What do we do in this position?
Oh, play bishop e3, develop the knight. This is a textbook case of a bishop-knight imbalance. You play b3, restricting the knight, and that sets the stage for a later pawn a4, gaining some space on the queen side.
Oh, that's great, thank you.
No worries. I'm International Master András Tóth. I'm presenting to you Jeremy Silman's masterpiece, The Amateur's Mind. In chess, in order to win games, we need to come up with masterful ideas, and that is exactly what this course is going to teach you about. We are going to weed out the faulty amateurish thinking, and we are going to replace it with masterful habits. And today, you are welcome to start this journey for free on Chessable.
Echexale Vuga refers to what kind of chess?
Bughouse chess? I don't know. I have no idea.
Who defeated Viswanathan Anand in just 6 moves?
Levanaronian? That guy.
What opening did Itzhofu refute in Bog Champs 2?
Or the London. Either the London, the Stonewall, or the Copycat. 3 answers.
Who was the #1 rated woman in 1984?
I don't know. Pia Cromling. Pia Cromling. Anna Cramling's mom, of course!
Who is the only player to have won a World Cup while not representing an EU federation?
Okay, who is it? And how could I get that wrong? He's a famous legend.
There's a lot Danny doesn't know about chess, but there are some things you do need to know. Danny's new course for Chessable covers everything you need to know in just 2 hours. Check it out for free today.
Right.
This is my favorite segment to bring the show to a close, the Q&A, where the community gets to grill me and I get to roast chat. That's kind of that's the trade-off, right? I get to get grilled, and then, eventually someone says something, super out of line or purposely trolls me just enough where I lose my cool and then I roast chat. I turn into the comedian calling out the guy in the front row. But guy or gal or anyone. But okay, ready to dive in to some Q&A. Let's go. I have not reviewed these questions, by the way, and that's part of the fun. So, okay. I do have a spreadsheet that has now been shared in case I can't read that over here, but all right. Will there be any further meaning for the Woodstone Legend Leagues? I don't feel like it's rewarding in any way to be good in them. I think that is fair feedback. I don't think we properly thought through the league's product before it was fully rolled out. And certainly for the community members who really love that idea. What is the idea? The idea is to add some stakes, give some meaning, to just sort of increase the reason for someone to want to play casually every day, right? And the idea of being a part of a league and seeing yourself progress through a broader leaderboard, especially if you're someone who maybe you're not going to be on the leaderboard competing with Hikaru for the top bullet rating. Maybe that's not how good you are at chess, right? But you play a lot of chess, and it's awesome to be acknowledged for being one of those active members. I think that was the idea of leagues. I do not think that we achieved that. I think that leagues was a very big lesson for our team. I'm speaking for myself, Eric, the entire product crew on that. I think we could have done better. And is a revamp of leagues in the works? It is, but I will also be honest that it's not the number one priority because of what we think it's going to take to properly fix that and do it right. Do you do it more like Clash of Clans style, right? And really have like clubs serve as like a clan that you're competing for points? Is it something that could be almost like a 24/7 always open arena, almost like a Rust? For those who play the Rust video game, my teenagers play it, where it's like this world that's always open and you can hop in and hop out and earn points for your team, at a different, is it more team based rather than individual based? Like I have a lot of thoughts about this. I don't think that our league's product is great. I'm sorry, I'm just saying that. And I know there are team members watching who it always hurts when we just have to face the music. I think that that's a really fair point, and I apologize for leagues not delivering in terms of what you want it to be. And we will do better in the future. That's what I'm going to say. So probably even more than I even needed to say. But there are no plans for more meeting right now, and we need to do better on league's product, and we're going to. So all right, next question. Bring it on. I'm looking ahead at the prompter. Here it comes. Are you going to change the game review to the old one? There's been a lot of criticism. I actually already addressed this earlier in the show, so I'm going to go quickly. There's been a lot of criticism about the new game review design. For the record, for those of you who don't like it, there's also been people who do like it. So please always remember that your opinion is a perspective, and there is a very large audience we're serving. I made the analogy that what we're doing is more of a spherical Jenga puzzle than it is a linear way that is always clear that, oh, we can improve this for beginners, and it also improves this for tournament players, and it obviously improves this for grandmasters. That's not always the case. It's more like a very complicated puzzle, and if you push something too hard, something goes out. So we have plans to do amazing things. We have so much technology invested in our coach feature that is coming, that is going to blow people's minds. I mentioned it on the last State of Chess as well. We have a lot of resources going into the, we talk about the fair play algorithm, the algorithm that runs game review, how and what decides a move being brilliant or a blunder, and how can that really feel good to a user and help them get better at chess. We are working on game review all the time because it's one of the products that people most use and love. That said, I don't know that a full regression back to the old one is in store, or if we're just going to adjust some of the things that most people don't like, and we will change the things that are most criticized, I guess, or somewhere in between. I don't have a member of the product team who works on game review available right now. And unless he's in chat, he's a big chess watcher. So I'm not, shout out to you, Dylan, and some other folks on it. So, But just know that we are listening. The feedback has been heard. We're going to work on it. And we ultimately may end up solving this with some settings where if you're someone who likes, the OG game review, maybe you'll have some settings. If you're someone who really loves the newer versions of Coach, you'll have it on. You might have somewhere in between where you love everything about the new game review, but you just don't want Coach. You'll be able to just disable Coach to a certain degree, right? So there's a lot that we're considering, and we're going to make sure that we make everybody happy as much as possible. Anxiety. Ooh, I have you with me, Mittens, and that feels good. That feels good, even though you are an evil Mittens, a merch line that never made it live because you look like a Chucky doll and a cat had a baby, and it not a cute baby. You're gonna sit over there. So in fact, I'm gonna turn you around. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Bruh. Next question. By the way, for some of you sharing questions in chat, the team is gathering them. I'm trying to see it, but we also owe it to the community members who shared questions before. So I'm saying this again. Thank you for sharing chat. And you all know that I go off script more often than I should, and I may just grab a question. But I'm actually purposely kind of ignoring chat because I feel like I owe it to the community members who really made an effort to send in questions via our community club, via Twitter, via Reddit. So I'm just being honest. So if you haven't joined our Discord or if you haven't joined the community clubs, maybe our awesome mod team can share some links. If you want your question to be prioritized in the queue, you should do that. So you may not have your question answered. It's not because I'm dodging it, but I'm just being real that time is limited. All right. How does the brilliant move classification work in Chess.com? So I've talked about this before, so I'm going to do it quickly. And in fact, there's an article. Can someone grab the link to the article and share it that kind of breaks this down? The article will do it better than me. A brilliancy is always subjective. Let that sink in, because in theory, it's just the best move, right? And what deserves 1 exclam versus 2 ever? In the history of chess annotation, not just chess.com's definition of it. Think about that, right? Because we always give the 1 exclamation point if someone finds the best move. So what decides that something is brilliant? By definition, everything I'm about to say has been worked on by grandmasters, international masters, amazing product minds. Sometimes I think it takes non-chess players to make a great chess product. I'm being honest. So I'm telling you, we have worked hard on this. But with that said, it's obviously subjective. And from our view, a brilliant move to some degree to a human has to feel like unexpected. And so what is unexpected? What is sort of shocking? Usually it's a sacrifice. So by definition, it's a move that gives up something mathematically, right? So it's the best move by the engine, but the algorithm we built for game review is also able to say, but it also is giving up 9 points for 5 points, a queen for a rook, right? Or something like that. Or it's a move that in some ways you get, it's surprising because it's a sacrifice, and it's also maybe the only best move. So there's a best move, and then there's a bunch of other moves that keep the evaluation close, you're still better, but maybe it's the only move that wins, and it's a sacrifice, right? And that determines in our mind that that's a brilliant move. We have worked on this algorithm. You guys have seen commentators in real time sometimes be critical of it, be like, that's not really a brilliancy, and even maybe that's not really a blunder. It's just kind of a dubious move. That's just all of us being honest and being real about the product and how we see things. But I feel pretty proud of where it's come. To be real, I think that people love, first of all, the reward, even if it is a Chess.com participation trophy. Shout out to the Chess Bros. I'm on Hamilton. Everyone loves it. I think that it's pretty accurate. And then the last thing I'll say is, because there are different levels of chess player that define how hard a move is to find, the real complicated sauce, and where our team gets a real shout out, all the team who work on game review, you know who you are, love you, is that what's brilliant for a 1200 isn't necessarily brilliant for Magnus Carlsen. And so where we've really tried to dial it in so that people feel rewarded for great chess is hey, that's a move that most people at this level aren't finding, according to the data, also meets the criteria of it's the only winning move, and it's a sacrifice, right? And so it is a little subjective, but the goal is clear, right? To reward people for playing good chess and motivate them, and to try to dial in those knobs based on someone's level of chess understanding. So hopefully that tells you how we're doing it. Yeah, we have done that, Fisher Random Chess. That's kind of what I'm saying, is we have dialed in the algorithm to be based on someone's rating. Again, without getting into all the sauce of that is sort of what I'm saying. Exactly. Let's move on. What do we got? if I would know tomorrow that chess would stop being a thing, what would I do? Like, you're asking me personally as a job. I don't know. I'd become a shepherd. I would get sheep and I would tend to them. All right, let's ask it again. Sorry. Is there any way to increase number of game reviews? Yes, and it's probably our most valuable product and premium feature. And what I would say is that, remember that playing chess is free. We have a lot of learning features that are also free, and we're motivated to do that. But it's also a company and a business, and we want to be a great company and a great business. It's one of our stated mission statements to be the best place to work. And ultimately, what I would say is, if the premium membership adds value to your life and your chess education, it should be worth upgrading for. If not, then you don't need to. And there are plenty of chess sites and plenty of free features to use around that. So I think that I would say I appreciate that question because it's a compliment in terms of the product being great, and we appreciate your support. There you go. Question next. We're going to dive in. I just looked over and we've got the question wondering when this was going to happen. When are we going to ban Kramnik for good? Here's what I would say on the subject of Kramnik. If the community knew how much effort had been put in and has been put in by our team over the last year, privately in supporting Vladimir early on, shout out to Casa and Vladimir and I personally also talked about a number of the things that are still being discussed. And if they knew maybe how much communication we still get on it, and when you combine that with the reality that what he's suggesting and where he's come in regards to his accusations, in regards to the statements that he's making, in some ways you could debate of a defamatory nature toward people within the chess community, accusing not just young people, very young people, but professionals with zero evidence. That's between them and him. Where he's come with those types of behaviors and statements, combined with what is just what could I call it? An egregious lack of truth and or statistical merit behind those accusations, we have internally closed the book in regards to what we will entertain and what we will discuss with him. So in regards to our relationship with Kramnik, the combination of where his accusations have come, what seems to be motive to continue those accusations without really any of those accusations being based in truth or statistical merit, doesn't put us in a position where we're willing or find any conversation with him to be productive. As far as how often we think about this, not as often as you would think. It is unfortunate, and I feel bad for any and all of the people that he's accused. We took different steps that we did and set certain boundaries, and if people are wondering where and when does the line stop, I saw a question in chat earlier about how much is too much. Well, if you were watching the whole show, you would know that we already talked about the fact that we are working on policies to be transparent in terms of how we warn, how we then suspend, and how we then maybe ultimately ban someone. And if someone is aware of these policies on a public level and they continue to escalate themselves through that process because of refusal to, in our opinion, behave in a way that is mutually respectful toward their professional community, toward their peers, then we will take necessary action. So how often do we think about this? Not as much as you would think. There are no intentions to ban Kramnik or anyone at this time, but we are laying out policies that if Kramnik or anyone else continue to push the boundary in a way that we feel is hurting the chess community or specific individuals, we will be prepared to act. And we are no longer engaging in productive conversation with him because, as I said, the accusations combined with the lack of truth or statistical merit behind it, we no longer find productive. So that is that, and we will move on. I have the spreadsheet, so I'm looking at the question before they slide up. Next one. Could you guys add the Chess24 pieces back to the board? I think we already have plans for that. If we don't, I will ask. I think that that's a fair request. We have a lot of great themes. We've got the Neo board, the Neo pieces that people most use and love. We've got, the ICC with blue that Hikaru tends to love. There's all kinds of boards, the purple Botez known collection. But there aren't plans at this time. I will look into that and see. I mean, I think we have a lot of really great themes. I would bet we have some themes that might be close to it. We're definitely not going to be building on the technology that the Chess24 board was, if in terms of how the pieces move or felt. We we do not find that to be the best technology to build on. And the boards and the way the pieces animate, all the things that we're doing are pretty good. And we're going to continue to work on that. But as far as how it looks and whether there's like a Chess24 theme, I'll surface that with the team and see. We will see. There you go. Will Chess.com's puzzles ever be free instead of giving users free 3 puzzles a day? Probably not. Likely there will be 3 puzzles a day for free. There may be types of puzzle solving in the future where that mode is always free. We've discussed that a lot internally, whether it's like puzzles by theme or a different type of rush or different things. But overall, we work really hard on the puzzles experience. There's actually a really great puzzles update coming that I really enjoy playing. We've called it Puzzles V2 internally. I hate using V2, V3 stuff because of any OG users who know that you can get trapped in calling things V2, V3 when really you should just be updating and improving all the time. So we learned our lesson years ago with a major website rewrite. But there are no plans at this time to make puzzles completely free. But I would say never say never or dismiss anything. I mean, our ultimate goal is to inspire people to be everyday users who are making chess a part of their lives. And ultimately, chess is good for people, and it's great. Obviously, we are a business, and puzzles along with game review is one of our most popular features, and people love it. And as I would say, there are a lot of puzzles for free you can solve, 3 on our site every day and others. And if it's a great feature and you have the means, we'd appreciate your support. Why don't you have any easily accessible opening database merged into analysis board? You are right, and we are working on this. This has been one of my longest standing features, one of the most frustrating things that we've had, because as someone who taught lessons online for years and at one point was studying chess on a more serious level, I worked, it feels like I've spec'd the first version of Super Analysis, our own version of ChessBase 10 years ago, and we have not been able to figure out this product. So what can I say? You're 100% right that this is not great and that we are working on it. I have no idea what the timeline of it is, but I want this feature more than you know. It is one of the few things that Eric and I just have to not talk about, because it doesn't go anywhere. You get some of those things in your marriage you just don't talk about anymore. Like, we're not going to talk about we're not going to talk about your sister-in-law anymore. We're just not going to do it, right? It's just that the party spoke for itself. She had too much, all this stuff, right? We're just not going to talk about game analysis. Okay, I'm getting told that we do have Opening Explorer in chess.com/analysis if you click the Explorer tab. But I stand by everything I just said, that it's not great and it's not what it needs to be. And it's not tied in robustly like it should be with library, and the ease of that feature needs to be way, way better. And Dylan knows how I feel about that. And Sam just corrected him and said, no, Dylan, I'm just exposing our Slack in real time. Slack leak. You're wrong, Dylan. That feature sucks. Our analysis needs to be way better, but we love you. All right, move on. Next question. Can we please get a function available on mobile as well as on browser where we can create, build, and save our own opening repertoires and also be able to study it? Is that not chess.com/library? Have you used library? I'm asking this person as if they're going to hop in my ear and say, yes, what am I doing? Have you used library? But library is not what it should be. The future of chess.com's power analysis tool is going to be way better than it is, because the truth is you should just go to an analysis board and have everything you need. You should have all up-to-date databases. You should have tabs for your opening repertoires. You should be able to hop in, hop out, have a much easier time entering your tournament games and sorting them and organizing them. I would say we have a duct taped version of this on the site. If you look at the library feature you may not be aware of, and what's already available in analysis, and what's available in Opening Explorer separately, but they are not good. They are not built intuitively by people who actually would use this like they would use ChessBase or some other analysis tool like that. You are correct, and we need to improve it. But that said, the specific thing you're saying, library exists, but it doesn't exist on mobile. So I don't think there are any plans right now to bring library to mobile. First, we got to get chess.com analysis and library dialed in, because it's not great. And we will do that. Let's move Let's move. What we got? We got time. We're already at 4 o'clock Eastern time. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be here, and I know there's okay. Mittens the cat bot comes back when? I have no idea, but I was told that there's a bot called Eugene on the bot page that is 3,500 rated, and apparently if you play the right series of moves, you can break Eugene, and he will then play like a 200 bot. Let me pull this up from Sean. Classic Sean Becker telling me things without any thought behind it. And apparently there's also 50% off codes on Diamond memberships hidden throughout the site that are related to the bot, like Easter eggs. Are you let me ask, are you serious? Is this real or are you joking? We're roasting you on State of Chess right now, Sean. Do something with your life. Kidding. Love you. Kisses. All right. Oh, Sean's watching. Sean, is this true? Is the Easter egg thing true? Okay. He said he just muted me. He actually says he was watching. Okay, let's move on. Apparently there's a bot, Eugene. Play a series of moves, break the bot, and there's some codes. Okay, Eugene is 3,500 unless Sean is typing in real time. You do something. Okay, we'll figure out what that is. And what about the 50% off codes? People would want to know about that. We'll come back to it. Sean's going to type. Let's move on to the next one. You can't Can you introduce classical time control on Chess.com? Can we make a vote that we don't discuss this on State of Chess for the next 3 State of Chesses? Just because I think this has been like the 3rd or 4th State of Chess in a row. With that, it's probably the we want to do it, but I love everybody who wants to play classical chess on Chess.com. We actually have plans for it. There's already an earmarked section we could get Josh, our CTO, on in the database for the future to add this time control. It's actually a thing that we do want to do, but we've been working on a lot of other stuff, and we want to get kind of our stats cleaned up and, recovering from what happened when we went from as many millions of games a day to what we did, and trying to just build out the architecture for all that. Had us not add a new line in the database for everything that then will populate. So classical chess is in the future. We want it. I want it. But I will end this the same way I end all of it. If you're requesting it, you have to appreciate that you are in the very, very, very small minority who wants this. Even I've asked top players. Top players are like, I don't want classical chess online. Like, I would never play classical chess online. If you organize a classical chess tournament, I would not play classical chess online because that level of a long time control looking at a screen. And you might be a user who's like, no, I have a DGT board, or I have this Pegasus, or I have this, Chess Up, or whatever the versions are you have. But it is a minority feature as much as I love the idea of it. And I'm just going to be real with you about that. So the Chess Up board 2 is actually legit, Soda Boda. And I'm not just saying that. We did a partnership with them. My kids love it. And I'll be honest, there are a couple moments where it's quirky. It has bugs like anything else where you go oh, what happened there? But for the most part, the idea that you can it clicks the piece, it tells you it can go. It actually even gives you real-time game review, like red and green for good and black. It's actually awesome, and my kids love it. And so I am a Chess Up fan. And yeah, someone Nifa says Chess Up is a scam. Don't do it. I don't know. I don't agree with that. I mean, I think it's a really cool tool. So I've used it, and so I'd be curious what the specific feedback is, if that's actually real or if someone's just saying that without real experience. All right, what's next? Chess.com, hold a public quarterly fair play forum with GMs to really tackle cheating online. We want to do this, and we have plans to do this, but it's not through the lens of really tackling cheating online. We spoke a lot about that today. You should back up and check that out if you want. I think that we've been doing this with the level of effort we've been putting into our reports, and giving the transparency that we have. And sorry, I get a little exhausted at this time of the show. I hope that that's appreciated to some degree, because you may or may not agree, but I think it's important to at least validate effort and perspective, and that there are always different ways to look at things in the room, and that we do have a lot of record here that speaks for itself, so to speak, in terms of people that have been closed for cheating. And that said, we want to do more, as is evidenced by what we've been doing to educate, to get more feedback, and to create a more formalized process for people to feel heard, especially so that it doesn't boil over in some ways onto the streets in ways that it unfortunately has, even if I do not agree with actions that were taken and find many of them to be antagonistic and motivated in nature to be hurtful without really bearing any real semblance of truth. That said, it's still unfortunate that it got to that point, and we are working on all of these things, and a fair play summit is something we have discussed many times. So, Chuck Moulton, I don't even need to discuss that because our actions speak for itself. You know, the account is closed and it remains closed, and we'll stay closed because it is what it is. There you go. And what else do we got? Any more questions? Was that it? Did I just pass the test? Is it chat time? Is that it? No one's in my ear. No one's talking to me. So, why did you sabotage the chess boxing match between Hikaru and Magnus? Guilty. I sabotaged the chess boxing match between Hikaru and Magnus. I don't even know what that question is about. There is no chess boxing match between Hikaru and Magnus, and there never was. If this was a question about the match, we've spoken on this a lot. There was a lot that went into that. Really unfortunate we weren't able to pull it off. It'll go down as one of my deep regrets that we didn't pull that off as was initially planned, and no one was sadder or cried about it more than I did. Honestly, that's the truth. But the truth is, I don't need to share more about that because I already have, and it'll just make me upset because a lot of people gave their heart and soul to something that didn't come to fruition, and that hurts. But there was never a chess boxing match. So if that's what you're saying, that's pretty funny. What else we got? Will there be more future events that can allow non-title players and master alike to compete, face strong elite players such as Nakamura and Carlsen? Yeah, I mean, they're called the community championships. We had a slide about them earlier. Every one of the events that you see people winning, like Andrew Tang in the Hyperbullet Championship, like Fedosea, Big Fish, and the Fisher Random. I think he was the one who won it ultimately, right? I forget if I'm misspeaking there. Those events are open to the community, and if you do well enough and are playing cleanly and don't cheat your way to the top, because we will catch you, it's a lot easier to catch people who aren't grandmasters at cheating, by the way. Pro tip. The opportunity to play title players and to play for cash is something we're investing in, and it's a lot of fun. The Community Championship Series are a blast, and we hope that you check them out. We're doing that. We are doing that. We're doing it. Okay? Just kidding. Be professional, Danny. Act like a CEO. Okay, I'm a human. Let's go. What's next? Question. Sorry, someone in chat said, how much Anish Giri content are we getting in the future? That's up to Anish Giri. We invited him last minute to commentate on some of the Speed Chess Championship. He obliged and accepted. Anish Giri content is usually pretty good content. How much Anish Giri we get in the future is up to Anish Giri, I would say. I'm a woman who uses Chess.com almost every day. I get friend requests and messages from people who use Chess.com to only message women. Is this type of account allowed? And if not, is Chess.com doing anything to close accounts that target women and treat it like a dating app? So first of all, I'm super sorry for your experience. Whoever wrote that in, it is an unfortunate broader experience I think that many women have online, not just on Chess.com, but in all types of circles of social networks that exist. And it's an unfortunate thing in the spaces of tech and gaming, and in chess for sure. We do deal with these accounts aggressively. We are all over accounts that are multi-account repeat abusers, we call them. Of course, people use all types of things, whether it's VPNs or other ways to sort of hide their behavior. And then when you are dealing with 100,000 new accounts created every day, which we still are, which by the way is crazy, who is hearing about chess from what? It's just so great that chess is such a legacy evergreen game in people's consciousness. I'm not trying to distract from the tough question. It's just great. We're still getting 100,000 new members a day. It is a hard thing to do at scale. I think that a lot of people who have talked about this, who oversee large online communities, would probably tell you the same thing. And I'm not going to speak for leaders of other large social network platforms, besides just to validate that we are doing everything we can, and we can and always will be trying to do better. We have heard these experiences from internal staff members. We've heard them from outspoken members of the community, and we've heard them from anonymous people who I have no idea who you are, but I'm sorry for your experience. And we are doing everything we can, and we'll continue to. The technology and sort of like tripwires we try to set up to stop repeat abusive behavior doing the things you're talking about are sometimes tricky too, because we also want to make sure we don't go so far in terms of what people's first experience is to feel like they came to a site and they can't talk. But we also have leaned more heavily recently in that we think we should actually not allow certain things to be done until there's been a mutual handshake, to use the technology reference, a friend request, if you will, that's sent from both sides, or something that is more indicative of a relationship that is valid. At the same time, we want our platform to be used for people to connect and make new friends as well. So this is hard stuff. I'm super sorry. I have 2 daughters myself, and it's a tough thing that women deal with online. I'm not going to deny it, and I'm sorry for your experience, and we will continue to invest in it. And yes, we are investing, and we have invested a lot. I think we are actually much better at it now than we were a couple of years ago. And shout out to the support team who does the manual labor that kind of plugs the holes for the things that we can't automate. So we are automating. We're doing everything we can. It's hard stuff. Shout out to the awesome support team who make sure that they plug all the gaps. Please always report a user. Believe me, they get back very quickly. They're very good at what they do. Sean and the crew, shout out to support. And I apologize for your experience. Best I can say on that. This is the final question coming up, I've been told. Danny, you're not allowed to answer more. Can you explain how the accuracy scores work in a way that even a 5-year-old would understand? I'm taking the challenge seriously. And I've had 4 5-year-olds over the years. My youngest is now 8. Thank God. When you don't have a kid in diapers and you get your life back, especially someone who had his first kid at 19 and never should have, and barely made his marriage work. And that's the truth. Rated R version of My Life Almost Falling Apart coming your way with a book next year. But I've had 4 5-year-olds. How would I explain this to a 5-year-old?
Bruh.
Everyone wants the best moves in chess. Everyone wants to play the best moves in chess. In every position, your goal is to play the best move. 5-year-old would get that, assuming the 5-year-old knows how to play chess, right? We know the answer. Just like when you're solving math, honey, and you do 1 + 1 = 2, right? Your teacher knows the answer if you said 1 + 1 = 3 in the back of the math book. We know the answer to the position based on the information we have from computers. And computers are better than playing chess at humans. You asked, so I'm giving it to you like a 5-year-old. Every position has an answer, and you are rated against that answer in the back of the math book. So if you say the right answer, you are given a higher accuracy score, sometimes a perfect accuracy score. If you play the wrong answer, you are given a low accuracy score. Where the middle ground works, if I'm talking to my 5-year-old, I would probably say, honey, the way the middle ground works, honey, is that there's also sometimes answers that are more wrong than others. So there's the best answer, there's the worst answer, and then there's answers in between. And when you talk about the moves that you make on a chessboard, we try to give that a score based on what we know the answer is in the back of the math book. And the reason that's different than cheating, and now I'm going beyond the fair play algorithm, beyond the accuracy, is that because the best players in the world are expected to make those moves, and they often do at a rate that is higher than you would, my 5-year-old, it's not as simple as saying that accuracy score makes you cheat. And some problems, a 5-year-old would understand this, are easier to solve than others. 1 + 1 = 2 is easier to solve than 21 divided by 6, right? Or, it's not even going to be an even division problem, right? A 5-year-old isn't going to do that, or I don't think so, depending on your 5-year-old. You get my point. And so it's not, accuracy score is not cheat detection because it doesn't take into account context. How hard was the problem? You can play the best move because it's easy to recapture a queen, but that's not cheat detection. How hard was the problem? How much time did they take on solving that problem? How do we compare that time taken to how Magnus would take that time, or Hikaru, and all the amazing stuff we've done? How do we evaluate that move against that person's own games, etc.? There's a lot more that goes into cheat detection that is more than accuracy score. And I wish this last part was clipped. Again, for every grandmaster out there and for everyone who thinks about it, accuracy is literally for a 5-year-old. So thank you for this question. It is for a 5-year-old because ratings are complicated. 97% out of a test is something a 5-year-old understands. 2706. What does that even mean? To what? So in trying to help people understand how they're playing, we established a very basic, we know the answer in the back of the math book. There are different types of answers that are ranked. You either get the best one or the worst one or somewhere in between. That is not cheat detection. Accuracy score is a snapshot at how someone well played. Is it a basic fundamental part of what you have to do cheat detection well? Yes, because you have to compare someone's moves to an engine's moves to do cheat detection well. But accuracy takes so many other things not into account that to base any accusation of cheating on accuracy score is not only irresponsible, it's just bad math. It just shows a lack of understanding of the nuance it would take to really do this stuff properly. So for a 5-year-old, it's just like having the answer in the back of a math book, and your teacher knows the answer, and that's all we're doing. So there you go. Your 5-year-olds are too smart. I was eating dirt when I was 5. That's fair. I don't know you, but if you were eating dirt, I'm sorry about that. We've got I don't even know what that means. Kiss Mary. That's a Sammy Sosa thing. That's not a gang sign. If you don't know that, you don't know Sammy Sosa. Sammy Sosa. He was probably juicing, right? We kind of know that. The whole generation was. That's what that is. That's what that is. 50% discount on Diamond. I think there's some sort of Easter egg hunt to go get it. Go get it. Go get your 50%. Big changes coming to the CCT next year. You guys aren't giving me hard questions fast enough, so I'm getting out of here. Switching to YouTube. I don't like how YouTube chat. You load up YouTube and it does this like scroll thing and it keeps you paused at where you were because YouTube doesn't understand the live viewer user UX. It only understands the VOD. I'm sorry, the people designing YouTube. Like when you go back to the YouTube tab, you can always back up in a show. Normally, you want to be where the live thing is happening and you want to see chat in real time as people who watch live streams on Twitch. Am I wrong? Like, I don't like leaving YouTube and then coming back and being right where it was and chat like doing the weird scroll thing. Like, take me to the live position. And if I want to back up into VOD, YouTube, you're the best VOD platform. But like, I hate that YouTube does that. I don't understand that UX. It makes me want to, I always just refresh to get myself to the live moment that's happening. Anyway, we are always analyzing false positives when it comes to cheaters and cheating accusations. And I stand by what I said earlier, that we are ready to go to court, but we also have an appeals process, just like all court processes do. And we operate strongly and confidently and thoroughly. And the amount of people who claim false positives versus what is actually false positive might want to look at themselves in the mirror, to be honest. I think people love pointing out some sort of hypocrisy in what I say, that when we make closures for cheating that we're prepared to go to court, but what about false positives? I actually think that we can intelligently hold both of those truths in the same hand, which is that there's obviously a due process. First of all, there was a very internally strong due process. The amount of false positives people claim versus whether they were actually cheating or not are even more in the micro 0.2%. But in the very, very rare cases where we determined via new information we got, because we have an amazing appeals process, that we were wrong, we would overturn that and it would never go to court. So I don't think acknowledging the potential for false positives or the fact that we operate with integrity and hearing someone's appeal is inherently undermining the fact that when we make closures, we're ready to go to court. And I hope someone clips that for the person who said it earlier. I think the person was on Twitch, was like trying to say that how ridiculous what I said was. It's just not true. And I think you can appreciate what we're doing is actually difficult at scale. We're doing a really awesome job. And we're trying to be more transparent for everybody, and I think we are. We're also increasing this capital punishment stuff with the title player closures, and I'm excited about where we're going and the level of responsibility and accountability that the professional community is going to have going forward. And we are not going to keep their secrets in our closet anymore. We're not going to get tough and caught in those spots. And with all that said, we have an appeals process. If you've ever been closed for cheating on Chess.com, you know that there is a process. You might have been denied because you think that you appealing would have made you innocent. Appealing doesn't make you innocent. But we have overturned people who've made proper appeals, provided information we didn't have, and or just cast enough doubt that we don't want to stand by because we don't want to close innocent people. Those two things can be true, that we are ready to go to court and that we have a process that respects information that we may not have, and we are going to operate and protect the community in the middle of that area, right? Only a Sith deals in absolutes. It's not black and white. There's a lot of gray and nuance in terms of doing this stuff. And I would say there's a lot of gray and nuance in solving any hard problems in life. And we're solving hard problems here, and it's not black and white. There you go. And with that, I think we've touched into all the stuff, and let Danny cook. Thanks, Maddie. I don't even know who you are. But I think it's hard. I understand why it's hard. I think we want to put things into black and white stuff as human beings. I mean, I do it in terms of things that I judge that I don't have all the information on, whether it's, you see a celebrity's behavior or politics or something. I just think human beings do that. It's what we want to do. And I actually think we should do less of it. And it takes an emotionally intelligent conversation and process to hold two conflicting truths in different hands. Like, they are both true, even if they are there to balance each other. It doesn't make the process hypocritical or in some ways, reflecting that it's not operating with integrity. In fact, the opposite is often true. It's complicated stuff. And I think it's important to have information and nuance, or appreciate the nuance when we have these conversations. So I hope that's what we do. And if I get one more person making fun of my skin, like, I got sunburnt playing golf with my boys, playing disc golf, and then I was at a lake for a day. It led to skin peeling and scabs and shiny. Like, leave me alone. The lights are hot. I don't do tanning. I just got sunburnt. Get off of me. Back off with the judgments. Dear Lord, no kidding. Love you all. This has been another State of Chess. We'll see you in a few months. Apparently that's a gang sign. I'm not trying to do that. I've been trying to do Sammy Sosa. I don't know. Mittens, good talk. And I don't know when we're going to do this again, but we will do one likely before the end of the year. It will not be 8 months. Too many big things happening toward the end of the year. Too many things to talk about with 2025 around the corner. So enjoy your week or weekend. For some of you, maybe even taking Friday off. Hope you are. And I will see you around on Chess.com. And I'll see you next week for some Speed Chess commentary. Bye, everybody.
Check it out.
Fresh.
Check it out.
Fresh.